you live right now?
They're having beer and Popeye's chicken.
He's got a point, but it doesn't mean I'm going to like it anymore.
Hey, balling with Bryan is like that. Everybody in Mavsland should be following him.
He's savant-like, and he has just been a thrill and a privilege to spend time with him.
So Balling with Bryan writes a blog, and all of a sudden you bury Dirk.
The haters are going to hate, and the homers are going to home.
I don't trust him. His name is Rylan.
If you guys, and as much as you could, if you could talk into the microphone, because it's a little hard to hear up here, so as best you could. Is this good? Cool.
Possibly live from the Ted Jones Broadcasting Center in Trophy Club, Texas. It's the definitive independent podcast covering the Dallas Mavericks and the NBA. It's the Mavericks Outsider Report. I'm Rylan Rowe. I do sports. With me, as always, is the man at the helm, the mild-mannered reporter, editor-in-chief of MavsOutsider.com, my long-lost basketball brethren, Mr. Bryan Gutierrez.
Give me some dap, man.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Yeah.
I was, what's today? Don't tell me. Is it August 31st? Is it 30th or 31st?
31st.
Okay. I never remember.
Now, I want to tell our listeners we've got some new technology, so if I have a little trouble getting the levels right at the beginning, bear with me.
It'll work out.
But I'm sure it'll all be good in the end.
It's August 31st. The last time we talked was June 30th. It was free agency Armageddon. We were on the precipice. We were on the precipice of Armageddon.
And now
it's all gone now.
Now we're just doing stuff, and everything's kind of settled, and I turned off the JJ Gray, and it's time to get down to business. Episode 88.
Yeah.
August 31st. It's a Sunday. We're breaking up the middle of our Labor Day weekend because Mav talk needs to happen.
We're breaking up my Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Purge or whatever it's called, binge.
You betrayed me. It was you and me. We were supposed to be bros in this forever as the two people that never watched it, and now I'm all alone on my non-Breaking Bad desert island all by myself.
I'm sure there's someone
making
else.
Friends with a volleyball.
Maybe Followall. Maybe he doesn't seem.
I bet he watched it.
No, he doesn't seem like he'd.
You don't think he watched it at all?
He's like looking at Basketball Reference every night.
Not a damn thing wrong with that.
So yeah, it's been a while. We're gonna have plenty of time for basketball and Mav speak over the course of this podcast.
We've got to catch everybody up. There's been lots of roster.
There's
cementation,
a
if you will.
cornucopia of things going on, but I think it was a good time for us to catch up as well.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's been 2 months, and normally we don't ever go longer than a month.
An entire
ever
season, summer. It's all. We started.
It came and went.
Yeah.
Started in spring. It was the 8th day of summer when we were, and now here we are, Labor Day weekend, which is when basically you look at the calendar and it's all going to be over soon.
You can't wear white after that, right?
It will all be over soon, and it won't be so damn hot. I'm so sick of the heat.
I love it.
And you can't wear white.
I love it.
And you can't wear white after
I love
that.
the heat. And I would keep on looking at my phone, which has a crappy battery. I know you talked about that the other day. You're concerned?
You got you're a guy
that's the 5.
You get the 5 the day it comes out.
Yeah.
You're that guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you did that. So
yeah.
I got mine not the day, but within a couple months. But then about a year later, it had spots on the camera. And that was like a known thing. They're like, yeah, some of the X model from X to Z here, these serial numbers had this problem, and we'll replace it. And so I got it replaced like when it was less than a year old. So this phone isn't the full 2 years old yet. It's like maybe a year-ish, and the battery has just in the last few months gone to total shit.
Mine's been bad, but it's surprisingly gotten better in the past week or so.
I blame software.
I blame Apple knowing that it needs its new. People are ready for the new phone, so they're just.
It's a good point.
Getting people ready for
it. They threw a little bat in the latest iOS like miniature point release update. They threw some kind of Easter egg in there to wind your battery down.
For you've been busy because you're like city council rep. What was it? I forgot what Followall said.
It is the honorable, technically.
The honorable.
Honest to God, dude, I get mail.
You're like a big deal now.
I get mail addressed to the Honorable Rylan. I'm not even joking. It's
intense.
I don't know what's happening, but it's what happened.
You
So,
kiss babies that aren't even your
no,
own babies.
No, I don't do any of that stuff. I just go to meetings and I read emails.
You're the guy that doesn't wear a tie but
Yes.
looks presentable.
Yes,
in that
that's
much.
exactly what I do, and I don't even look presentable when we don't have a picture to take. So, yeah, that thing that's kind of blown up on Facebook because people posted on there and tagged my name in it, and so now all these people are like, oh. So I was kind of trying to keep it on the DL because, look, man, my Twitter and MOR presence is a lot different than that of a publicly elected official.
So you want to keep those separate but equal.
To some degree. There's a few guys on there from Trophy Club that I'll tweet sports about every now and then. But they were following me for sports long before.
But maybe they feel your political stance is
Maybe they feel
needed.
connected. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't talked to them about it because, some people don't. Some people, the thing you got to realize is some people it turns them completely off.
Yeah.
Anything political. And it's really not even very political because it's your town.
Mhm.
So, there's no parties. It's not anything like what we perceive as politics. So, but even so, still, some people, it just, it's hands off to them. And it kind of even is to me. But you know what?
You can't say that as the
Sometimes-
honorable.
Sometimes things need to be said. And sometimes I'm the guy that needs to say them.
I understand that.
And so here we are. And that's kind of how we ended up where we ended up today.
Speaking of
Episode 88 of MOR.
Speaking of Facebook, I randomly looked on Facebook one day and there's photos of you doing engineer work for another podcast. I was like, what is going on?
Yes.
You've been spending you've been busy this summer.
I've been incredibly
it's the summer
busy.
of
So
Rylan.
what kind of like the summer of George. It is very much like the
Yes.
summer of George. Yeah, I helped out Groobs on some stuff because he was going to be the engineer / co-host on a podcast, and then he hit me up and said, "Hey, do you want to help me engineer?" I said, "I don't have time to be every time, but I get you set up. I had some leftover equipment from like MOR episodes 1 through 40. We had our old stuff before we got all this, and so I said, I'll give this to you, and the extra stuff I'm not using, and I'll get you set up on the first couple go-arounds." And so I did engineer the first couple, which one, it was really hot. It was an easy one to engineer, but it was really hot in the bar we were in, and so I was just sweating like just a freaking donkey the whole time I was there. It's just, and dude, I get so hot. I can't take it. If it was 40 degrees in this room, I would probably still break a sweat just plugging in these 5 cables. Like if I move, I generate heat. So that was tough. And then
I'm not sure if you're bragging right now.
the second one I did, no, I'm saying it was just uncomfortable. Like I could just tell I
I
stank.
just generate this
You could
aura.
just tell this stank was around me, And then the second one I did with them, it was much more temperate, but it was an all concrete and brick interior, which meant, and we were in the evening, one big room, which meant the sound was it was hard as hell to get people talking with the background noise. So it was an acoustic challenge.
So then how do they do that for real? Like the real radio?
The real radio,
Yeah.
they have better. So we were using the microphones you and I
Yeah.
have used for the last 4 years.
They're
or
not.
however long.
If you're looking on the live podcast right now, a live stream, you're like, where the hell?
You'll see that we're in the big time now because we got headsets. But
You're the big time though.
those mics that we use, those are cheap, dude. I got them 3 for $20 on sale. I think they were normally $20 a piece. I don't know, but even $20 mic is cheap.
Sure.
3 for $20 mic, and they're like 8 years old and they still work perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't block out. They're not perfectly blocking out sound wise. Plus, that old board I had is not really made to. It doesn't have some of the features that this one has that kind of helps you with that. So that one was just from an ear standpoint was tough. But we made do and we got through it and everything was good.
It is, man.
It was really tough.
It is.
But so now, as it turns out, my intention there was to get Groove set up and going where he was comfortable with it. But he has now looked at his schedule and gone, oh shit, I got 41 Stars games, and he runs the board for Fox Sports Southwest. Most people who listen to us that are local here probably realize that he's one of their team of
He's a
board
big deal.
operators there. So once football starts up, there's Texans, like Not pregame and postgame. Maybe they carry pregame and postgame for Texans. I don't know.
Who watches
But
that,
they've got.
though?
He did mention to me that there's some kind of Texans programming. There's high school football programming. There's college. There's stars, road game stuff that they're carrying. Then obviously once basketball starts, then they've got 3 more teams they carry. So it gets pretty crazy. So he now isn't associated. So I just kind of moonlighted for a couple weeks. It's all good.
You're not leaving
This
the
is my first
you're not
gig.
leaving the
No,
nest?
because I'm using
I
my
gotta
old
just go do this in the parking lot.
because I don't like record. I don't like going on remote because it's a pain in the butt. It's a lot of hard work, and I did it 2 weeks in a row. And 1 week I sweated my ass off, and the second week I fought echoes the whole time or whatever, reverberating high frequencies. So that's why I'm in my controlled environment. I got my nice little cabinet with everything perfect. I got my new headsets. I got my iPad. I got my drops. I got my thing. I'm set, dude. I'm so ready to talk Mavs.
Is anyone here?
Yes, Courtney's upstairs with Layla,
Oh,
about to go to bed.
Oh, okay. It seemed really quiet.
She was testing out your microphone earlier.
Layla was?
Yeah.
How was she?
I mean, words came out.
Were they words?
They were words, but it was just
Okay.
like random stuff. I'm talking. I can talk. Da da da. So
You record
so
that?
she broke it in. No, I should have.
You should have.
I don't think about like catching those cute moments.
Mm.
All the time.
I don't have a kid.
Oh shit! Someone's tweeting about Kenichi. You ever been to Kenichi, dude?
I haven't.
You like sushi though?
It's okay. It's not on my top.
Kind of just a C plus.
Yeah.
C plus average.
Yeah.
If you like sushi,
I've heard Kenichi.
Kenichi is outstanding. And as far as West Side choices, there's a place in South Lake that we go to called Cowtown Sushi, and the name's kind of cheesy, and it's in a strip mall, which makes you think, and it's in a strip mall next to a Walmart neighborhood market that used to be an Albertsons. So, but it is outstanding. I'm putting my feet out. My feet out there. What am I trying to say?
You're out on a limb.
I'm out on a limb.
You're championing it.
Yeah.
It basically.
I'm championing it.
I give you most of the time because nothing has been exciting
Yeah, dude. What
in
have you
my
been
life.
doing?
I cut out soda about like 3 weeks ago.
Didn't you do that before?
I did that before, and it lasted about 6 months. It's this right now. Water's basically the only thing I've drank in the last 3 weeks. I fall asleep now at like 9 p.m.
Because you're just drinking water.
and I just drink water. I don't have any energy, and then I wake
Kind
up.
of sounds like having a kid, except I drink everything and water, and I still fall asleep at 9 o'clock.
No. I decided to cave in and watch Breaking Bad today. I started like around 11. I stopped when I had to leave to come here. I'm excited to go back and watch some more.
It's all you're going to be thinking about now. It's all you're going to be talking about.
No, I just think it's interesting.
There's subliminal messages in that the whole time saying, tell all your friends.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Tell everyone you know.
I'm not going to do
Put
that.
it on Facebook.
I
like backwards talking. Put it on Facebook. Put it on Twitter. Start a blog.
No, I'm not going to do that. That's it, really. That's it for me.
I did watch True Detective, though.
I was gonna talk to you about that in the Vegas thing. Cause
True Detective was
Yes,
badass.
yes.
Now, I've had this conversation with several people. I don't see how the second season can possibly live up because the first season had the benefit of low expectations and surprise and obviously an outstanding product. Now there's going to be all this anticipation. There's probably actors that are going to be lining up, and you're hearing who's going to be in it or whatever. And to me, I don't really care who's in it until I see it and see what it's about. Because I'm not a big like, ooh, so-and-so's in such and such. That's just not my game. But that, dude, and that's perfect for me. Because Breaking Bad, I can't do what you just did. It would take me a month and a half to watch what you watched today.
It's a big difference, man. You've got a kid, you got a wife, you got a politician.
Yes, elected duties, honorable
You have duties.
things. I'm out being honorable. So
you have duties. We're in
I
August.
got to do my duty.
We're going in August into September, dead time for me, so I have the time.
Yeah, but True Detective was perfect because it was 8 hours. So, we watched it. We watched the first 4 episodes like in about a week, and then we got real busy and for a couple weeks didn't watch it, and then watched the last 4 episodes in about a week. And I'm like, this is perfect. I don't like investments.
Of time.
Yes.
Okay.
It's too much. I like to be, when I'm on something, I like to be into it 100%. Like this podcast.
You keep it 100.
I'm keeping it 100 on this podcast, and so I don't want to invest in something that's going to pull me too far away. or all the other random 100 other things I've got irons in the fire on. So I guess congratulations on Breaking Bad or something, and welcome to the mainstream. You're becoming mainstream.
No. I'm dabbling my toe in it.
You're gonna show up at the AAC on October 30th, and you're not gonna be wearing a skinny tie.
I will. I need to get some more new ties.
Skinny ties, though.
Yeah, they'll be skinny ties.
See,
and the tie clip and everything.
See, you have a look, and I appreciate that because now in the summertime I just dress like shit because it's hot and I can't cope with the heat.
That's me every day, though.
But in the wintertime, or well, not just wintertime, but when it cools off and stays cool in the spring, I like to look good. I have my look. I have the things I like to wear, and I like to look good. And so do you. We don't look dressed alike.
I don't like to look good.
But no, you got your at the games, man. You've got it figured out. You got your skinny tie, your tie clip, usually a pattern like a small
plaid.
like
It's
a
always
small
plaid.
like never a big plaid, always a
No.
very small, tight plaid, simple 2 colors. It pops. Just looks like a pro out there.
I appreciate that.
Just looking like a pro.
That's my style. It was unintentional. We're already off of your chart.
That's okay.
Um,
Not by much, by 3 minutes.
yeah.
We'll make it up.
So, speaking.
Yeah, well, I even made a run sheet, dude.
Yeah,
So ready.
you're prepared.
So ready for podcasting.
If you're listening still to this point, you're ready for the meat of what we're ready to talk about, and that's Mavs basketball. Clearly, the biggest thing from the last time we talked was the big acquisition of Chandler Parsons from the Houston Rockets. There was a whole web of intrigue going on once we got to the time of him being able to sign, and he signed. And I'm setting up a tease, basically. Or do we just want to jump in?
No, let's go for it.
Let's jump in. All right,
Yeah.
sweet.
We'll do this, and we'll talk about this and Dirk's thing, and then we'll take a fake break.
Okay. It was weird for me being kind of in but away because it was in Vegas while this was going on, and it just seemed like everyone was glued to Twitter from July 10th to the official day he signed.
Oh, it was intense, man. It was intense because there were so many angles that were being taken and so many other pieces on the chessboard that had a potential effect on what people thought he might do. And, at the end of the day, it all came down to the way the contract is structured. That was the poison pill. Houston thought they were cute with their Jeremy Lin poison pill. Cuban amped that shit up to 10, to 11, actually.
He took it to 11.
He took it to 11. And
ended up being a
what can
three-year
you say?
$46 million deal with a player option in the third year. And one of the biggest things to come out of it was Daryl Morey saying that it's one of the most untradeable contracts out there in the history of sports.
Well, and he may feel that way
Is that butthurt?
a little bit, but there's some butthurt in that. Where butthurt alarm goes off when he says that because he would have gone for that deal if Bosch had come to Houston,
Mm-hmm.
and he would have still been. He would have never said that because he's Daryl Morey and he wants to try to improve his team however he can, and he might have found a way to trade him, particularly on the when he's in the last year of his deal. Nothing is untradeable. I mean, the Mavs, we've proven that as Mavs fans over and over. We've all said lots of different deals over the years have been untradeable, and ultimately, most of them ended up,
Jose Calderon.
yeah.
He's the most recent example.
There's one every couple years. So, yeah, there's some butthurt there because they really he thought he was the smartest guy in the room. That's what I love about this is he thought he was the smartest guy in the room.
Well, last summer that was it. He was the guy. And then an entire year later, it completely flips on him.
Yep, because you can't. Paper champions get you nowhere. So, what's up, Daryl?
So, what did you make of the whole? I told you before that I had to succumb and download the Cyberdust app, and at that point, when July 10th came around, you saw the photos of Cocktail 2 with Mark Cuban and Chandler Parsons, where they're in a nightclub in Florida, signing the deal. And you've got Demo Swag, you've got his family, so on and so forth. What are you thinking? Are you like, this is the kick to the balls right here when you see that?
First, I have some breaking news. I can't believe. I mean, I feel like 34 years old. I feel like I've spent a lot of my life trying to establish myself as a man of integrity. People generally feel
You're
like
the honorable.
I'm the honorable. People feel like if I say something, I'm sticking to it. I'm a principled guy. I have my convictions. And damn it if I didn't download Cyberdust.
You did?
Because when Cuban was on Ben and Skin last week for 2 hours or whatever,
Yes.
anytime Cuban does an in-studio visit, it's a must-listen radio, even if you don't like the radio station or the show. And it just so happened it was Ben and Skin, so I was halfway tuned in anyway at work. And so then when I got home, I listened to the whole thing on the podcast, and he made a hell of a sell. Now I'm not using it. I mean, there's nobody. I didn't know you were on there. It went through my contacts and it didn't tell me you were on there.
I am on
Did
there.
you sign up as like
No, it's
as like Bartholomew Schmidlap or
No,
something?
it's Balling with Bryan.
Okay, weird, dude, because it found everybody else in my contacts that had it.
That's probably just the weak battery.
You're just rolling incognito. But
No.
anyway, I'm not using it because it's duplicitous. Unless you're trying to sext pics to somebody that you're not supposed to be sexting pics to.
But we've already had that conversation.
And
before.
we've talked about that. So I'm not using it, but his sell job, the son of a gun could sell ice to Eskimos. There's a reason why he's worth what he's worth, and we're not. And I at least had to check it out and understand, as someone who works in software, just get a feel for the experience.
It makes sense,
dude. He sold it, so I'm on Cyberdust, y'all. Don't send me anything. Anyway, about Chandler Parsons.
Yes. Did you like those photos popping up?
Sure, it didn't bother me. I don't know if it's because I'm
Were
numb.
you scared or?
Not really. I don't know if it's because I'm numb, because it's been a tough few years in Mavland.
Mm-hmm.
This past year obviously was a lot more palatable than the previous two, but I don't know if I'm numb from that, if I'm numb from the fact that no matter what, by that point you knew that no matter what happens this year, the Mavs were going to be in better shape than the Rangers and the Cowboys. I don't know what it is, but it didn't really bother me as far as, oh crap, here we go, we're going to get a crotch kick. Now, yeah, I would have reveled in the crotch kick on Twitter if, with everybody else, if he had gone ahead and, or if Houston had matched him. But as far as the lead up to that, I didn't really have a whole lot of heartburn, because
Bubble guts weren't going?
No, man, zero bubble gut factor. And I think it's just because I like the fact that the Mavs took a bold move and they said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a swing here. This is something that we think we can achieve. This isn't, D-Will, half-ass recruitment. This isn't a Dwight excuse me.
Bless you.
This isn't a Dwight Howard recruitment pipe dream. This is something attainable. This is a position of need. We talked about it on June 30th.
I listened to that.
Our last
I listened to
podcast.
that specific segment on the way here.
We talked about how he would be the most versatile offensive player that Dirk has ever played with. And so to me, I was like, you know what? This is this is like one of those bombing runs where they just hit the little tiny part of the bomb factory just perfect and disable, and then there's a farmer over there that lives there, and they don't even mess with the farmer's shit. It's just perfect, direct target. I loved it for that. So I didn't get any. No, I didn't have any bubble guts at all about it. I know a lot of Twitter did. Now it was cool to sit back and watch. I loved sitting back and watching it all unfold because. Dude, you had the whole Miami thing, and LeBron was involved, and then you had the Carmelo sideshow.
I don't think it really works out unless there's that stalling that's going on.
I know.
I think Houston's like, they know what's going on at that point. If LeBron says we're gonna go back to Cleveland, and they'll make their run at Bosch, find out it's not gonna work out, and they'll be like, or they'll find a way to make it work. They'll have more time on their hands at that point. They can do some more finagling.
I agree. I think that their inability to move all the pieces around to go ahead and match him played a significant part. They got down to the 11th hour, and we were all, as Mavs fans, rooting for Parsons to be here. We were all looking at all the pieces that had to be moved, and we're thinking, okay, other teams, don't help this jerk. He's gotten painted into a corner. Don't help him, So it was cool. I'm glad, and I don't have any of the worries that people have now. It's like now people are already bitching because all these other things, and we can talk about that in a subsequent episode because we have so much to so much to catch up on, but people are already bitching about how much he makes, and people are already bitching about who he's sticking it in and all this other thing. And I'm ready for basketball, dude, because there hadn't been baseball to watch since the middle of June that was worth a damn, and football is going to be Strugglesville. So I'm just ready for basketball.
Aidensville.
I want to hear the squeakers, the sneakers squeaking. I want to hear the ball dribbling. I'm ready to go. What do you think, bro? What was it like for you? Because you were out there in Vegas. You're kind of in the media fray. You're talking to a lot of people.
It's in there, but it's away because you still don't, Cuban's there, so that means it's going on.
Was there anybody else there from Dallas though?
Oh yeah, all three of the Brain Trust were there. Donnie was there. Carlisle was there. There was one day, I think it was the first Sunday there. So I'm gonna be terribly guess the date. It was like the
July 44th.
No. Yeah, probably a good guess. There was that Sunday. Carlisle was leaving on that Monday. So after the game, they were all in three different parts of the arena. Cuban was right by the Mavs bench. Carlisle was on the opposite side but front row. Donnie was up in the stands. And then after the game, they'd all meet up like one-on-one in these little corners of the arena, trying to stay out of view.
Oh, yeah.
But I saw them.
That was their briefing.
Yes. So they would talk, and then it would be Donnie and Cuban for about 5 minutes, and then I'd get a quote from Donnie, and then Carlisle would come up, and they were talking. Carlisle and Cuban were talking even in a deeper corner, like no one needs to see us right now corner, for a good 10 minutes. Just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I tried to get a quote from Carlisle, and then he punched me in the balls, but said, "Have a great summer."
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, it was interesting because you didn't know, and then Cuban was doing his thing of saying, "I know what I would do if I was in Houston's situation," but when he was asked, he said, "I'm not going to answer that." And then when it became clear that Chandler was going to be a Maverick, he said, "Oh, I would have matched."
See ya.
Sorry, I had a problem. I tried to fire it when Carlisle punched you in the balls, and then it technical. I told y'all.
That still works.
I told y'all, but we're good now.
That still works. But it was weird. You just didn't know. I mean, even talking to the Jonathan Fagan, who's the beat writer in Houston,
right?
Getting to talk to him because he was out in Vegas. He was like, "I don't know what the hell's going on either."
Who did you have media-wise from Dallas out there to bounce ideas off of?
Dallas? Just
Nothing.
Earl.
Okay.
Earl was the only guy there.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, I mean, you're just kind of workshopping it with whoever will talk to you at this point.
Yes. And then it ended up being a lot with Jonathan, just trying to figure out what was going on. And then there was one game, I think it was on Friday or Saturday before, and I saw Jonathan, and we were going to go down to the court because Cuban was on the sideline, and he was like, "Go talk to him first because he'll probably say yes to you because he likes you." So then I go up to him, and he's like, I'd go up to Cuban and say, "Can you talk for a few minutes?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So then we start talking. Then boom,
yeah,
everyone goes around.
You started it.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was fun. I was kind of 60-40 the whole way, thinking that it was still gonna work out. I didn't know for sure, but
I guess that's about where I was. I wasn't ever really too hot or cold one way or the other. You know, at first you're like, Houston's going to match. You know, good for them. Good for Cuban putting it out on there and on the internet and having their little, you know, him and Demo swag, you know, doing a high five or whatever. Great about all that. But I just thought initially, well, you know what? They'll match him. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. If Bosch comes and they match him, that's their team. That's it. They're locked in. If Bosch doesn't come and they match him, they're still locked in right at the cap.
Right.
So you thought, well, now if Bosch comes, they might do it. And then if Bosch doesn't come, then they'd be stupid to do it. And as it turned out, they looked at the situation and felt the same way I just did. Because I think that's ultimately what it came down to. Was Bosch not going there meant that they didn't want to be that team that was hanging right there at the cap. I don't think they had a problem being 13 over the cap with those four guys and using an exception in minimums, but I think to be in that same situation without Chris Bosch, it just their team wasn't complete enough. It just wouldn't have been a good look. I mean, and we can talk about down the road about some of the things that have come out about how Houston is kind of operating as a team right now.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm burping so much,
It's
dude.
cool,
It's
dude.
just not conducive to
It's
what
cool.
we're trying to do right now. They are talking about some of the shenanigans with Dwight Howard and James Harden. We've all been James Harden skeptics. I feel like at least the circles we run in, really from the get-go with him being like a top guy on a team as opposed to a third guy like he was in OKC. So they would have been without Bosch to just have Parsons in that mix. Would not have been a good look for them moving forward, and they responded accordingly. And now the Mavericks have a starting small forward that's dynamic offensively and young, and hopefully everything works out, and that 3-year contract turns into more than that.
It was kind of unique and intriguing, and this is kind of probably my last note on it, is based off of last season, Parsons was one of 6 guys who averaged 16.6 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 4.0 assists. It was LeBron, Durant, Love, Westbrook, Hayward, and Michael Carter-Williams, and Parsons.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the list.
Yep.
So he's incredibly unique offensively, and he's 25. And one of the things that Skin talked about last time with Monte is the Dirk effect.
Hey, look at my junk.
That's a good one. He did not say that.
Thank God.
He did not. But he talked about the Dirk effect with Monte and how it just bubbled up Monte's game. We
Yeah.
kind of have to expect some form of that now with Parsons.
Yeah. I agree. And, he was playing with Dwight Howard, and Dwight Howard has had effect on guys, but he's had effect on spot-up shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And Parsons got his last year with James Harden flopping all over the place in front of him too, I mean, that's all James Harden really does is just kind of go ass backwards into the lane with his head down and then flail. So I actually think that Parsons is going to be in a better position offensively working off of Dirk and working off of Monte. So it's going to be exciting, man. I think it's a good fit offensively. I'm pumped, man. I'm ready for basketball.
And that's what we were kind of expecting going into the season. Or I know Jake, who's a friend of the show and runs in our circle, he believed that the Mavs were going to be better this past season, and they're going to be continued to be on the path to improvement this coming season. And
just a iterative process going back to they stripped themselves of assets, and then last summer they started acquiring assets again. We talked about it in last summer's off-season podcasts that they officially had to switch back to an asset acquisition strategy. Now we're in year 2 of that, and we've seen them succeed in that in the previous era of asset acquisition cap management, and they're going to continue to do it. The rules of engagement now are a little different. You can't be quite as free spending as you used to be able to, but we know that they know how to do it. We know that they're smart enough to move the pieces around and play the game, and so far so good. I'm pumped. One of the things we want to touch on before we go to break is the guy that makes this all possible.
the biggest asset on the court right now
is my leader, your leader, Tim Koger's future best friend, Dirk, ends up taking a deal slightly less than even we all predicted.
Remember, probably one of the first or second time we talked with Jake, we were guessing what it was going to be for Dirk's deal, and I think me and you had the consensus of 3 for 30, but I think I kind of suggested that it could have been 3 for 21 or 3 for 24 as maybe a Hail Mary shot that could work out.
Well, and everybody was just looking at the Tim Duncan deal,
right?
And using that as the bar, and saying that's kind of the same situation. And so I think going into it, and when we first heard the deal announced, that's what we thought it was.
Mm-hmm. That was the original idea.
Yeah.
They had a verbal agreement to it. It was suggested to be in the ballpark of 3 for 30, and then once pen went to paper, I found out that Cuban was lying because he said, no, we're not gonna suggest to Dirk or to Devin that we need to do a little bit less because Parsons is coming on board. He said no, but then the next day we find out, boom, 3 for 25. 3 for 25.
I love it. We don't need to build a statue for Dirk. We need to build 100 statues for Dirk. I'll pay for him. I'm done. He's the best thing that's ever happened to sports in this town, I feel like. I mean, we've had countless other legendary athletes come through here, especially on the Cowboys side of things, but one guy doing so much for one franchise to be so different than it was before he got here. And he is the model. He's the model of work ethic. He's the model of attitude, developing your skill set over your career, now taking less money for your team. I mean, you literally, he's unimpeachable. You can't, you know what?
He could shoot Mark Cuban and everyone would be like,
You know what?
do it again.
Next time he's out on the wing and raises the ball up above his head and someone pokes it out, I'm not even going to bitch. I'm not even going to bitch. I'm not even going to bitch. I'm good. He can do whatever. He can burn down the AAC. I'm good.
And I think you had to love it a little bit more when you heard in Stein's initial report that the Lakers and Houston offered max deals, and he gave the Heisman.
It's so laughable.
Yeah.
That is so laughable.
But 3 for 25 for Dirk is incredible. When you think about it, you have Monte and Dirk. Basically, I think it's for 15 this coming season. $15 million.
I know.
That's
unbelievable.
It's insane in the membrane. What's next?
What's next is a break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little more about your Vegas vacation.
Okay.
And kind of look at the end of the bench. Because Vegas
Sweet.
and end of the bench, they kind of go together.
Yeah.
On the silver screen, she's always playing make-believe, and she's got emerald eyes that let me know just what she needs. It's hard to show exactly what she means to me, and I'll give my world. A girl like that don't come for free.
I like the guitar on that.
Quick break. Yeah, man, there's a whole genre of quasi-popular, certainly current music that's using that real clean, retro-ish rhythm guitar, and it's so right into my wheelhouse because it's kind of got that 80s vibe. It's a little funky.
Yeah.
I love it. Mavericks Outsider Report, episode 88.
Double 8, the Ocho.
Getting back in the swing. Just feels good to be just talking.
Just been so long.
Just talking.
Just talking
Just
to
talking.
I talk to people very irregularly. So I'm excited. I'm
Talking's
outside
good.
today. I get to go outside. Yeah, so we're back. Vegas was a lot better this time for me.
And my wife was in Vegas when you were
Same
in
time?
Vegas. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, of course you were there a lot longer than she was.
Yeah.
But the last couple years I've said, man, one of these days I need to go to Vegas when you go to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
But when she told me months and months and months ago that she was going to go in July, my old child-addled brain didn't put two and two together that would be during the summer league.
Yeah.
And I'll be damned if she's not getting ready to go to Vegas. Here's Ball with Bryan. Hey, buddy, I'm going to Vegas. Twitter. You know, so son of a bitch. It's like, man, that would have been perfect. Because, you know, I could have just, you know, because I already had my kid, because she was gone for a lot of days and I had to work a couple
You're
days.
going to put the kid in the kennel?
So I sent her to the kennel, also known as my parents' house. And I actually got a crap load of stuff done around here. So really it was fine. But I was like, man, if we could have tow up Vegas, bro.
Last thing, I mean, I get a text like 3 days in from Followo, and he says, "Hey, I'm in town." I was like, "What? What are you doing here?" And then they have their Fox Sports broadcasters meeting.
Oh
there,
yeah.
And they transferred it to Vegas. So I was like, "You want to go hang out?" I was like, "Sure, come pick me up." And then we hung out for like that night. And then Scott Tomlin, one of the PR guys, was like, "I'm in town." And I was like,
So you
"Sweet,
just
let's
had a
go- let's
parade of
go
people."
Let's go hang out, man.
Yep. I screwed up. Oh well, maybe next summer.
It was wheeling and dealing, but I had a lot more fun this time around because I probably wasn't as nervous as I was the first time. Because I've been to Vegas before. I
Yeah.
think it had been 2 times that I went, but the very first time, for basketball purposes, I was like, I'm just randomly going to Vegas for the summer league
Yeah.
for work, and I was like, this is random. So I kind of was walking on eggshells, didn't know what to do, and then I had that interview with Cuban where he said the Mavs are better off. I don't know why.
Headline porn.
That was headline porn.
You birthed headline porn.
Yeah.
You did that.
It was weird because of the time change. I wake up the next morning and I've got text all over the place, emails
You
and
can't control what the ball do, yo. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I know, Josh. There were so many texts because I sent the audio overnight and that was just blowing up on ESPN all over the place. I was like, that's crazy.
That for me, from your perspective, because usually when you're off doing this, you and I'll text back and forth about stuff like stuff you're seeing and stuff you're watching, and we'll be nerding out about basketball,
Mhm.
And so we were talking when that all went down last year, and I almost felt kind of like that was kind of like your Forrest Gump moment. except a normal person of normal intelligence.
Mr. Mark Cuban.
But but it was just kind of like you were just doing your thing. You were on your path, on your agenda.
I was in my running shoes.
You were in your running shoes, running straight ahead, and shit just happened to you. I mean, it was great. I loved it.
It wasn't that crazy this time around because I guess people were waiting for me to make the first move to try to talk to Cuban like I talked about with Fagan. He's like, he likes you, so go talk to him. So then I talked to him, and then boom, all those people come up. And then I just didn't sleep a whole lot that time around, or this time around. I actually try to have fun and gamble a little bit.
Now, you don't strike me as a guy that would be a heavy gambler, but I know you like poker.
I do.
And I could see you betting a little sports maybe.
I made 2 bets. I made one for the Mavs, and I made one for the Steelers for a friend of mine. And I was like, you're just making me waste your money right now because the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger's going to do something stupid.
Ask Snoop. Do you see Snoop's Vine?
Yes.
It is genius.
Yes.
I'm going to find it so we can play it, but
so yeah,
I love it.
I don't really do that kind of betting, but I definitely do the poker, and I didn't do that until the last full day last year in Vegas, but I definitely did it at least five nights out of the 10 I was there, so that was hardcore for me. And then when I didn't sleep, that's when I started to watch True Detective.
Man, it's
and I,
such
and I
a
got
good show.
I got some shit for that because people were like, you're in Vegas and you're watching True Detective, and I was like, I've got a ton of free time.
Dude, you were there for what, like 10 days?
Yeah, I was there for 11.
You would be broke if all you did was
Yes,
gamble for
yeah.
10 days.
And-
Here we go, real quick.
All right.
Come on, Vine. What's up?
Vine is not feeling it. Try it.
Man, the Pittsburgh Steelers need a new fucking offensive coordinator. This guy sucks. Coach Tomlin, this is Snoop Dogg, man. Fire that motherfucker and get us a real offensive coordinator. We ain't won a playoff game since we had this bump fucker, man. Shit.
That's quick.
I
mean, that's so much content in 6 seconds.
I love everything about it because he announces himself as Snoop.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Just to clarify, it's about Todd Haley, which if you're a Cowboys fan, you know Todd Haley had an ignominious tenure here. And in Kansas City, he wasn't exactly impressive. I told Mark, our buddy that I work with, we were laughing at this, and I said, how does Todd Haley keep failing up? But anyway, I'm glad to hear you bet for some poor soul who loves the Steelers so much that they didn't even. But, I can see you being a sports bettor for sure. I'll tell you where I was at. I went about a year ago to Vegas, and I went when I was 21, and then 24, and 28, and 29, and then last year 33. And every year, I'm a little more numb to gambling because I'm older, and I've earned more money or whatever. Where when I was 21, I'm like, oh, I'm betting $3 a hand. Oh, everybody, and so now I'm to a point where it's like, it's not fun enough to sit there and play blackjack for $10 or $15 a hand, even though, believe me, you will and lose your ass very quickly, even at $15 a hand, to where I could be there for half an hour and be down $200. I'm pissed. You know, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if I sit there for 3 hours and win $200, I'm like, psh, I should have been drinking. I should have been eating. This was not $200 for 3 hours of grinding it out. It's not worth it. So I actually found that I gambled less. I like to gamble, but I just felt like I didn't do it very much because I just wasn't in tune. So it was more about just hanging out with my friends, gambling a little bit, betting on sports, going to eat at some cool place or whatever. So it's not that I'm over Vegas at all. I love it. I could go there. I go there right now. You want to go tomorrow? I'll go. It's just I'm in a different place. And I can see what you're saying about just not being able to just be in the casino the whole time.
You just can't do it. But for me, it was different because I played poker, but I did tournament poker instead of cash games poker.
I do that.
So that's filling up your time, but you're not nearly losing as much money, and you have a higher possibility of making some money. And I made some money in those tournaments, so that was fun. And then of course it was fun seeing Follow All. That was right in the heat of the what's going to happen with Parsons, and he was like, I don't know what the hell's going to go on with this.
What? What just happened?
Basically, that's what was going on for 45 minutes when we were talking about it. But it was fun.
Did you come home with any takeaways relative to the game of basketball as conceived by Dr. James Naismith of Kansas University?
Crowds go wild for Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker. That was on day one.
Because they know who they are.
That was on day one.
Okay.
Standing room only. That was after the Mavs. The Mavs and Knicks were the very first game. Mavs versus the Shane Larkins, basically.
The Flying Larkins.
And then it was Jabari and Andrew Wiggins in the next game. And I was like, oh, sweet, I'll go and stay. So I watched that. It was an amazing thing. But then, again, I hardly watched a bunch of these games because I had to transcribe because Cuban kept on talking.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what happened in most of the games.
And you know what? Honestly, until the Mavs have a top 8 pick, that's how it's going to be. It's more there to cover it's almost there to cover
the hobnobbing.
The hobnobbing,
yes.
Exactly. And the occasional random notable thing in a game than it is to talk about Derek Hood went for 20 points and 14 rebounds.
He's from the hood.
He was a guy that was a Summer League superstar for the Mavs like 15 years ago. Every year he was on their Summer League, and every year in the Summer League he would average 15 and 15. I'm not kidding.
Where is he now?
I don't think he ever played a minute in the NBA.
Bless his heart.
Talking about guys that play in Vegas, if they do end up on a roster, it's at the end of the bench, and we want to talk about who is on the Mavs bench, particularly the end.
Yeah.
Because the middle, kind of the same.
It is kind of the same. Devin Harris is back. That was kind of expected. The first real domino to fall was Richard Jefferson, and this was at but remember, this was at the tail end of the Chandler Parsons window of waiting. And once it broke on Twitter, Mavs about to sign Richard Jefferson, people were like, oh, my God, we're not going to get Chandler Parsons now, and now we're going to be stuck with Richard Jefferson as a starting center.
People thought that he was the consolation prize, and I was away from Twitter that day long enough, which, honest to God, wasn't even very long, probably 2 hours, but that was long enough for word to get out, people to flip their shit, and then for people to go, oh, it's for the minimum.
Right.
And then for people to go, oh, look at his numbers last year.
Right.
Look at him from shooting threes from the corner.
Right.
Okay. Wow, this is a great value signing. Oh, he's only 33? Or what is he, 32, 33, whatever he is?
I think he's 34. I was going to say 44. That's definitely not 44.
He's old like me, 34. And so then it was like, oh, because I think most people have this mental image that he's like 39, So it literally evolved. And when I first saw it catching up on Twitter, I'm like, oh, that's a minimum signing. I mean, what else could it possibly be?
Right.
So I thought from the get-go, man, that's fine. Vince went and got paid from Memphis, and good for him. And I think that if they had their druthers for the same price, they would have rather had Vince over Jefferson, because we've talked about it before. The coaching staff seems to really love Vince. Front office obviously loves him. He's been here for a while. And all those good things, but he really got overpaid a little bit.
Yeah.
And more power to him, dude. But for a minimum player who was arguably every bit as productive and certainly more efficient than Carter last year, especially from deep, for $1 million, I'm in. I'm in, no problems. I love it. I think it's probably easily the coolest signing aside from Parsons this offseason as far as free agents, because it's Parsons and a bunch of minimums. So
even more than Jameer.
oh, I forgot about Jameer.
I know you didn't have him on this list, so
Dude,
but yeah.
I completely forgot.
But yeah,
yeah, no, that's a huge value pick.
yes.
Huge value.
When it was announced, once everyone stopped flipping their shit about it, is that the perception was Jefferson's going to be the Wayne Ellington replacement, not the Vince Carter replacement. So now it's up to him to pass Jay Crowder on the depth chart if he's going to see any time on the floor. But I still think he still actually finds a way to get on the floor for 8 to 10 minutes.
Do you have his numbers in front of you from last year? Because I didn't have time to look them up, but I did see when the announcement came out, someone had that he was 41% from the corner.
I have to look up the corner numbers again. I had them on the site. I know he shot 41% from the field or from three last season for Utah. But kind of the other thing that was interesting from that aspect was that he played like 70-plus games, if not all 82 games, for them.
In a decent amount of minutes.
Yeah.
He wasn't a 12-minute-a-game guy for them.
Right.
So I saw 41% from the corner. It's not under oath. I don't know if that's what it was, if I'm remembering it wrong, but
he shot 47.2% from the left corner, 49.1% from the right corner. That's
holy
obscene.
Crap. Okay, so maybe 41 was his overall three-point shooting.
Yeah, 41 is
okay.
overall.
Oh, dude. Yes, he's going to pass Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder's freaking R.A. Dickey out there throwing knuckleballs at the rim. This team's going to be about scoring. They're going to defend better than last year just by virtue of having Tyson out there. But this team's going to be about scoring, and it has a chance to be really about scoring. We have a chance to have an offensive juggernaut on our hands here that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So, yeah, they're going to need Jay because Jay can guard a little bit. But if he's shooting like that, forget it. Of course he's playing.
And then you had Monte, who was really good on the left corner. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but you had him doing well in the left corner. I remember Parsons does really well in the right corner. You've kind of seen this evolution in the past 2 to 3 seasons of the Mavs incorporating the corner three a whole lot more.
Yeah, because historically they didn't have a lot of guys that could do it.
And they seemed like one of the late teams to embrace that aspect. Moving on to the next, I think chronologically the next guy was Greg Smith, who was a trade with Chicago. What was interesting to me, which is probably Mark Cuban doing the Cyberdust sell job, is saying that they were interested in Greg Smith for the last 2 seasons. And they just haven't been able to make it work until now.
That could be true, though, because he was with Houston up until last year, and they could have a difficulty pulling off a little my nothing for your nothing trade with Houston because you're kind of an in-state, in-division, in-conference rival, and they're going to look at you going, why do you like this guy so much? You know, so I could see that, even if there is probably some spin to it.
He's I don't think I would classify him. I think he's 6'11". Maybe 6'10". He's not that true 7-footer, but he's known as a defender and finisher, and that's something that's in the vein of Tyson, and that's a great guy to have as your mentor, even though he's had the likes of Dwight Howard and Omer Sheik in Houston.
I think we've concluded Dwight Howard's a shitty mentor. I looked at his numbers back when the deal first happened, and he's been hurt a lot.
Right, knee problems.
He looks like one of those guys that if you can get him healthy. And maybe the Mavs training staff feel like they can do for him kind of what they did for Chandler 3 years ago. But if he seems like the guy that if you get him healthy, his per 36 numbers are pretty salty.
Right.
Now, for big men, we know that doesn't sustain over the course of long minutes. It just doesn't. It just, they're few and far between rare individuals that do that. But even so, he looks like a guy who can bang a little, who can be athletic when he's not in pain, and can, like you said, he can finish, he can defend. To me, if he's healthy, Sarge James is in a suit.
Yeah.
all year if Greg Smith's healthy.
Yeah.
Now, he might not be healthy, but
He's
it's one of those low-risk, possible, kind of like Brandon Wright was 3 years ago. Has it been 3 years already?
Yeah.
Holy crap. So 4 years ago for Tyson Chandler. Jeez, I'm getting old. In that, here's a guy who, where he's been, he hasn't played much, and he's got kind of a one-sided game, and maybe we can make a rotation player out of him.
and he's 23.
Exactly.
23 years old.
Lots of young on this list. Although you
Yes.
have Jefferson and Jameer Nelson, but Greg Smith and Aminu, and then obviously Parsons. I like every young guy they brought in. You feel good about the person, not just their age.
Right. What's your lasting memory of the Rashard Lewis era?
When we all started calling him Rashard Lewis, and then we found out his knee was busted.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to say Rashard for more than like a day or two.
I think it only lasted like 3 days.
Kind of made me
3
sad.
or 4 days.
Obviously it was an indication of where they were trying to go for shooting.
Mhm.
So, whatever. Kind of sounds like they're just trying to kind of do a little draft and follow with him,
Mhm.
and hope that he recovers, and just bring him in to be at the end of the bench at the end of the year or something.
Maybe like at February, or
Yeah.
just chill out until January, February, and we'll see.
But by then he might do that on somebody else's team.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
you never know. I think next was Al-Farouq Aminu. Dude killed the Mavericks the last couple years, and
Didn't he have a 20-20 game?
yes,
God.
he killed the carcass of Chris Kaman multiple times. And
Well,
now
That's not very hard to do.
that is not hard to do. But now he came at
Okay,
the.
here's a guy. He looks like an idiot, and he was.
He's 23, again, another youngin', and he came to Dallas for the minimum. He was the 8th overall pick in the 2010 draft. So he kind of almost falls in the line more of Brandon Wright.
Wright. You're exactly
Yes.
right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, except he doesn't have the injury
Sure.
situation.
He
But,
just can't do anything offensively.
it's just funny how guys like that at this age are already minimum players. I guess it's just a byproduct of the market. The CBA right now kind of squashes the middle. Everybody's high or low.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that you would think for his age, somebody doesn't want to give him 3 years and 7.5 million, just to see what they can do with him
Mm-hmm.
at that young age. But that's a byproduct of the CBA that we're under right now, and great, because it's enabled the Mavs to come in when all they had to give was a minimum and get a guy who, worst comes to worst, he could almost be a Corey Brewer type with even less jump shooting ability.
He shot.
Corey Brewer looked ugly offensively, but he'd screw around and knock down some threes on you every once in a while. Aminu is none of that, but he's got that same skinny and fast, wiry and active. He's a little more of a rebounder. He's definitely more of a small forward, where Brewer is more of a two guard with small forward size ish.
Right.
But either way, I mean, you get my idea of the role he could play minutes wise. He's going to be a guy that Carlisle might use 3 days in a row, and then we might not see him for a month.
To me, it seems like he's because I think I wrote about it. I was concerned in the similar vein of Corey Brewer of how's this guy going to get minutes?
Yeah.
But now it seems like he's going to be able to carve out at least 8 minutes, I would think, as a backup power forward, because they just need him as a rebounder. Outside of Tyson Chandler, who else is going to rebound on this team? You've got undersized guards in Monte Ellis and Jameer Nelson, who we'll get to in a minute. Parsons is great for what he does, but he's not an elite rebounder at his position. But you've got Al-Farouq Aminu, who is an elite rebounder at his position.
Oh yeah. And if they're efficient enough offensively, like we anticipate them being, they're going to be able to plug him in certain situations and have him not be as much of a liability on offense as you might think, particularly against the lesser defensive teams in the league.
Cuban was trying to when he was on Ben and Skin last week, he was trying to sell on building up Aminu's confidence in the 3-point shot again. And that's going to be a hell of a lot of confidence you have to build up because he's a career 29% three-point shooter.
You got some confidence to build there.
There's a lot to build there.
That's a project.
Probably the final piece, which was the one that was forgotten, was Jameer Nelson.
Dude, I completely spaced on him. And that – sorry. Golly, it's just – man, you don't do a podcast for a couple months and shit just falls apart. That guy – I think, on the balance of his career, underrated.
Yeah.
I really do.
He's not elite, but he's very durable. You know what you're going to get from Jameer Nelson.
Yeah, I mean, he's the kind of guy that's a veteran that's not going to get you beat, that's going to shoot the three ball fairly well, and sorry.
Mark Cuban.
Mama, help me.
Cuban on the Cyberdust app said that this is a guy that helped lead his team to the NBA Finals, which is a stretch to say. That's headline porn right there.
We got two of those guys, him and Devin Harris.
That's headline porn right there, but it is true because it was Nelson, Dwight Howard, and probably some of the remaining parts of Hedo Turkoglu's game that took Orlando to the NBA Finals back when they went. But it's either you're running with the combo platter of Raymond Felton and Devin Harris if you don't go this route.
But you know what he did in 2009? He kept the ball moving. He didn't kill him on defense. Granted, that was 5.5 years ago now.
Right.
But he kept the ball moving, and he knocked down the open three. On this team, he should have the open three.
Yeah.
We got the weapons. It's not going to be that inside out, dump it in, kick it back, dump it in, kick it back like it was with Dwight back then because it was Dwight and like everybody, you know, back in the day. But
Dwight and the Pips.
Yeah, it was Dwight and the Pips, and they were all. Remember how many they shot?
They had
many
they had like
three-pointers.
Reddick, they had Anderson, not at the same time, but
they've run guys through.
Yeah.
And their percentage of 3-point field goals to regular field goals was really out of hand all those years that Dwight was there as they were a playoff team and got to the finals that one year. So, yeah. Anyway, I just feel like he's a good mix, and he's somebody that if Raymond Felton's going to not suck, it's going to be because he wants to play over Jameer Nelson. Devin Harris is a fixture in Dallas. We know what he's going to give. He's familiar with the team, staff, everything. He's another guy that took less money than he could have gotten elsewhere to come here. So we'll build a little small statue next to Dirk's for him, just like a little Lego man for him. And he's going to play. And he may not start the games for you, but he's your A point guard in a lot of ways. Kind of like Jason Terry didn't start your games, but was your A shooting guard. You know, this is Rick Carlisle. This is Carlisle style. This is how Carlisle manages teams. He'll have his A and his B guys. They may not start. It's the Deshaun Stevenson starting two guard, or it's the, J.J. Barea starts in the finals, whatever. So, to me, Jameer Nelson is your possible starter.
I think he is.
Maybe even probable by the time we're sitting here in another, 6 weeks talking about preseason. But even if he's not, then that means Raymond Felton's giving you something. Because unless he's hurt, you know what Nelson's giving you.
Right.
That's just, to me, for 2.7, for the room exception.
You can do.
They really maximize their assets. If anybody at this point bitches about the Mavs front office, they really didn't do their homework. Is it perfect? No. But if you look at what they've done with the resources available, it's uncanny. Love it.
But this is kind of what they do with the end of the bench as well. I mean, last year you got the guys like DeJuan Blair or Javon Bear to fill out the end of the year.
Javon Bear.
Exactly. Guys like that at the end of your bench, who you don't really have high expectations for, but hell, they're probably not going to get to a Game 7 without Blair. So they find those diamonds in the rough, and now that, like you said, there's no middle class in the NBA anymore, these guys are able to be plucked.
There's more of them than there were 4 or 5 years ago,
right?
For sure. And, the Mavs don't have that Midas touch like the Spurs do, just because they don't have 3 Hall of Famers still playing really good basketball that they can plug people into and turn into real basketball players. I mean, Patty Mills, whatever. But but the Mavs
They probably don't win the finals without Patty Mills.
I just can't believe we're having this conversation. But the Mavs have done better. 5, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, in the middle Dirk era there, 04, 05, 06, 07, they tried to plug guys in. They tried to plug in guys like Eddie Jones, or they tried to plug in guys like, I don't know. I'm getting old now. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like there was every year or so there was another guy that was kind of a veteran, an older guy, and either he was washed up or it just didn't work or whatever. The last few years, you just made the point. Really, since the championship, they've done a bang-up job of bringing guys in, and so again with Jameer Nelson, it's just another hopefully another one to add to that list.
So,
I anticipate that it will be.
So the only reason you're kind of riding the fence on Nelson as a starter is the potential that just Raymond Felton balls so hard.
I can't imagine that he balls hard at all, but you just, they've kind of been giving him lip service. So I guess maybe there's a chance.
And then you perceive Harris as the spark off the bench, natural fit with Brandon Wright, and probably get spot minutes behind Monte.
Yeah, and also depending on how things go, you may see him closing games like he did last year.
Yeah.
Now I think Jameer Nelson is a little more well-rounded player than Jose was to help negate the necessity to do that. But at the very least, that puts him and Devin more interchangeable at the end of a game. So you had marked down. We were going to talk point guard next, so I guess this is what we're doing now is talking point guard. That's kind of how I see it shaping up. I see Harris and Nelson ultimately as 1A, 1B, and then, I don't know. I've never even seen Felton play. I've watched basketball for however long, and he's been in the league for, like 8 years now, ish. And I don't think I've ever seen him play because, one, he played for Charlotte.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah. And then, he played for the Knicks, and I don't watch Knicks games because the Knicks are an abomination. And then I guess if he played against the Mavs, I forgot. So I don't know.
He was just the guy.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Tweet me.
How is Tim doing?
He's good.
Good.
He's chasing his baby around just like the rest of us.
Not everyone. It just seems to me that Carlisle, this has to be, for a guy that is ready to move off of every action and reaction, this is probably his most wet dream of a roster he could have, basically. And the point guard position is kind of an example of that. If he needs to do this, he's got this guy. If he gets an unexpected surprise from this guy, he'll go with him. He has a somewhat constant in Devin, so he knows what he can get. He has that in the center position. He has that at the small forward. He's got his fixtures at shooting guard and power forward. And then after that, whatever.
And I'll tell you, if you look at in the point guard position, you're right, is emblematic of this fact, what I believe to be a fact. Either Rick is self-aware enough at this point in his career where people look at him and the only person people are willing to say is certainly a better coach than him is Popp.
Right.
Nobody will say that anybody else is, you got to give him the hand over Rick. They might say maybe, they might say in some cases, but he is the consensus number 2. There might be other guys tied for number 2. He is to the point now where either he's to the point where he is allowed to give enough input on roster decisions that this has happened, where you've just talked about how the roster is now put together, or Donnie and Mark have gotten familiar enough with Rick now that he's been here this long that they have mastered the art of giving him the toolbox that he can perfect. Because I feel like last year looked good for him. This year looks even better because of the way the pieces go together. He can manipulate this roster as it currently is really well to get the most out of the team, which is probably why they're going to end up. Probably the one reason other than personnel why they're going to end up overachieving a little bit. If they do, that'll be why.
It's kind of interesting because I don't remember when it was, but there was an interview with Cuban on the Hard Line, and he talked about how it doesn't matter who you throw at Carlisle, he's going to say, I know what he can do. I'm going to get the most out of it. I don't care what his baggage is, and that was probably the biggest example with Raymond Felton. I know he's had his issues. He's got the off-the-court stuff. He didn't do so hot this year in New York. Give him to me. I'll get the most out of him. And that's kind of the thing what he said with Felton on draft night when they talked about the new guys with Tyson and Felton. He's like, I'm excited to have a motivated player on my bench because he knows he's going to be able to push those buttons.
I hope he can, and I have faith that he'll certainly try.
I think there's only one instance, and that's Lamar Odom, where he has not been able to push the button.
And
that's not his fault.
That thing was so far off the rails.
But for whoever it is, whenever he's pushed the button, he's gotten the most out of it. Now, could he have pushed the button a couple more times? People would say, Corey Brewer, you could have pushed that button a little bit more. Yes, he could have done that. But whenever he's pushed the button, it's worked.
You could say that, but Corey was a late add to that team. They added him in March.
Mm-hmm.
So, after the feeling out period, he, maybe he did all he could, or maybe it was late February. I think it was late February.
Yeah.
But either way, even that, you look at the way he used him in the playoffs. He used him exactly when we needed him and helped sweep the Lakers. So, it's Rick, dude. I love him. It's the Rickster. He's the most valuable long-term asset, understanding that Dirk at this point in his career is a short-term 3-year asset. Rick, they don't ever need – as far as I'm concerned, as long as they're all getting along and on the same page, Rick's going to be here.
How excited would you be if Chandler Parsons became the best long-term asset that the Mavs had?
That would be amazing. I don't know if it's –
I don't think it's feasible.
I don't think he is that talented.
Right.
I think he's talented. But I don't think
Rylan Rowe just said he's
talented.
not that talented.
He's not that talented.
He's not that talented.
Yeah, whatever. But you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
I think he is a guy that could be an all-star.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a guy that could be a superstar.
Not your franchise
guy.
Guy.
And when I say superstar, that's what I mean. I don't mean in terms of perception. Because there's a lot of people that would try to tell you Dirk Nowitzki has never been a superstar. Dirk's been a superstar basketball player since 2001. Since he put 42 points on the Spurs in the playoffs in the second round and then came back the next year and basically was a beast every year until he had the knee problem. So, to me, that's a superstar in terms of basketball. So, I don't think Parsons is that level of player, but he damn sure has the ability, I think, to be an all-star in the right situation.
The way I look at it now and how the league kind of has shaped itself to define players is you're either the 1, the 2, or the 3 on your roster, because it's built now on threes. You have to have some form of a trio to make yourself go.
Yep.
He was a perfect 3 in Houston. They didn't have enough pieces around Howard and Harden.
He was the perfect 3 with flawed 1s and 2s.
Yes. I see him topping out as a top tier 2. I could see
that.
I could see that as a top tier 2, which is an all-star.
That's kind of what I'm saying. A guy that made a few all-star teams
right.
and is generally well known as a talented player, but not necessarily a Hall of Fame guy.
But I don't see him being the guy on a roster.
And to get there, he's got to work.
Yeah.
I don't think he's just going to just fall backwards into it. I think that he's got to build on his game and all that good coach speak, but it's true in this case.
But he's got the coach who can make it happen.
Oh, boy. I think so.
Do you have any more thoughts on the point guard situation?
Nope.
What happens to Gal Meckel, man? What happens to my guy? Frisco? He's not getting cut.
You're the only person that calls him his guy.
Mark Stein.
You and Mark. Okay. He's going to hang out with y'all. He's going to come in one day.
He's jealous now because of Chandler Parsons.
He's going to come in one day, and he's going to hand a little envelope to you, and it's going to be a tear-stained letter about how he's got to go play overseas because he sucks. And with that, we're going to take a break, and when we come back,
Nuggets.
I'm fired up.
the Street featuring the greatest band in the world. More day to time.
How you feel about that, Brian?
I love it.
You like that?
I love it.
How about this?
You know I love this part.
Yeah.
You know I love that part.
Yeah. Welcome back. Second hour now of the Mavericks Outsider Report, episode 88.
The double ocho
is in effect. And that's when we do NBA Nuggets, second hour. It's when it happens. We've never done it in the first hour, I don't think. And if we did, it would just be weird.
It would be weird to do it in the first hour.
Yeah, and we got some candy, which is kind of another
staple.
Staple of NBA Nuggets. This is left over from my kid's birthday party. We made little party favor cups with candy in them because we are cool parents. Because, damn it, you're only a kid once.
Mm-hmm.
Eat candy. Kit Kats.
That's the life. So the Nuggets are basically the lap we take around the NBA, and if it happens to revolve around the Mavs, that's sweet. If not, it's still interesting. So the first Nugget, that's the downside to the mic.
Yeah, I need a mic just for the ding.
That works. First Nugget. We'll kind of go chronologically again. Paul George. Man, I watched that game live.
Ugh.
It was terrible.
I refuse.
It was have you not? You've seen it though, right?
Nope.
You haven't?
Nope.
Wow. Let me show you. No, I'm just
nope.
kidding.
Not watching it.
Fourth quarter of the team's exhibition game in Vegas. Just a typical play where it's a chase down where he tries to block James Harden, and his foot gets caught in the bottom of the stanchion.
Come on, Bryan.
I'm not, dude. I'm pretty sure that I've told this story on this platform before. And if I haven't, I'm going to tell it again.
Tell it.
When I was a freshman in high school, I was watching Monday Night Football, and the Raiders were playing somebody. The Raiders. Sorry, I said that kind of weird. And their running back was a guy by the name of Napoleon McCallum, and he got his leg bent 90 degrees the wrong way. His foot planted in the turf, and his body just kept going. And I saw it. And I'm done. I was out. At age 14, 20 years ago now almost, I said, I'm out. And I have been out ever since. I don't watch. Willis McGahee in the Fiesta Bowl or whatever that was, didn't watch it. Sean Livingston, didn't watch it.
The Louisville guy, the guy I can't remember, Kevin Ward.
Ward. Damn sure didn't watch that one. Any of them. I don't watch them. Gus Frerotte headbutting the wall.
That was funny.
Didn't even watch that. No, I
that's
not.
Not okay.
That's
not gruesome.
I'm
that's
kidding.
just idiotic.
I won't even watch people turn their ankles. I'm out. And so I think it's horrible. I just can't believe. Oh, jeez. It's just. I just can't believe it, dude.
It's incredibly fluke situation where he just gets caught, and then watching ESPN right after that, where you just see Brian Windhorst and Ramona Shelbourne just going to town, just looking at the stanchion and stanchion gate and just seeing.
And Kyrie Irving is sitting there with his dad's
crying.
arm around him, just crying like a kid. I mean, it just makes me sick to my stomach even thinking about it.
I think it was like 2 weeks later, there was the report during the game where, prior to the game, one of their friendlies where the reporter said that Chandler Parsons said, I'm not sure if I want to do this anymore.
That's my brother. He's thinking the way I'm thinking. Me and Chandler, we're on the same page on that one.
He's thinking,
oh my. Where does this leave the Pacers? They're kind of in some shit, dude.
They're screwed.
They ended the season terribly last year, and they're done, dude. They're just gonna have to. I mean, I don't know if this is a type of injury. Paul George isn't that old, but
he's supposed to make a full recovery.
But is this the type of thing where
it's a mental thing? I think
it's a mental thing, and B, is it like another year to get all your strength back?
Right.
You know, and when you're not 100% and don't have all your strength back, then you're vulnerable to other injuries or compensation, or your hip starts hurting because your other leg isn't strong. All those things just start to play in my mind. This is not a good look at all.
It's not.
At all.
That's a good one, too.
Next nugget.
Throwback. The rage for everyone, or the goal for everyone, is to lose weight. And it seems like this has been a major phenomenon between LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony. The first instance of this was LeBron, where we found out that he was interested in cutting some pounds off, where he lost about 15, and he looked kind of homelessy.
But see, that was a doctored photo.
It was.
Because LeBron, a man that big loses 15 pounds, you're really not going to notice it. I can lose 15 pounds, and you would not notice it because I wear shirts with just enough extra room right in this general middle area here. You would never know. And I only weigh like 195. LeBron's like, what, like 235, 240?
He's up there.
At least. Well, he's 6'9", but he's not super, super big. I don't know. Anyway, my point stands. I don't think that the photo was doctored or it was stretched, but I don't mind players getting a little bit more lean. Go back and watch tape of guys from when we were kids. They were a lot more lean back then and lanky. And basketball is a sport where you want to be fluid, you want to be flexible, you have to run up and down. I really feel like bodybuilding and all this other shit has really taken a real front seat in the last 20 years in terms of its place in training. And I believe in strength training, but I think that bulking up has gotten a little bit too much shine, and it's because people want to look a certain way as opposed to function as an athlete. There's certain sports where those two run hand in hand. I don't think basketball is one of them. It's kind of like baseball. Back when these guys were all roided up, they were so strong, but they were so inflexible that you had a bunch of guys that couldn't do anything except hit a ball. They couldn't field, they couldn't run. Basketball is the same way. You don't want to be too big.
Do you think it's because? Do you think it's in the back of LeBron's mind that he's getting older and he just can't carry that as much anymore?
It would be if I was him. I mean, the guy's been playing heavy NBA minutes in deep runs into the playoffs since a very young age.
Right.
So, like, if you think about it, they made the finals in 07. Prior to that, they had a couple runs. So, really, that would take you back to 05. That makes him 20 years old, 21. Really, so since at least 21, he's been playing heavy minutes into April and May and sometimes June. And obviously, he's hardly gets off the court when he played for Miami, It wouldn't shock me at all if that's part of it. And maybe Carmelo's in the same boat. I didn't know that he was trying to.
He was following suit.
Maybe Lala just told him he was looking a little thick.
I don't like you right now, but.
And then he said, "Your name's Lala."
The quote unquote reason that he was doing this was because he thinks it'll help him in the triangle offense to lose a little bit more weight, to be able to be more mobile and agile.
I'm okay
and
with
hostile.
that. I'm okay with that because he's definitely been thicker late the last few years.
I think he's been eating a little bit too much of the fine cuisine, and
he just has looked bigger, and he's not that old. He's a guy who's not as old as you think because he's another guy that came in at a very young age. He's only a year older than LeBron. You had that 1 year at Syracuse.
Right.
So I'm glad. I hope that this is the start of a trend because I want to go back to seeing dudes that look like they can run and jump and not guys that look like they can box. Next nugget.
Your favorite guy.
Oh boy.
Kobe Bryant. I have to get this pulled up. Lakers head physical therapist Judy Seto has worked for the Lakers for more than 20 years, and she's seen a lot, and apparently Kobe sets the bar. Her quote from Sports Illustrated was, "Kobe's remarkable pain threshold, it's the highest I've ever seen. He channels his focus so well in terms of just the task at hand, but also when he's had the pain, he can just block it out. I think that's a trait. That trait makes him who he is, and his ability to focus also allows him to channel his energies." So basically, Kobe doesn't feel pain.
Oh my God. No.
What do you make of that? He feels no pain.
I'm sure he's tough. I think to be a professional athlete with a long career, and he hasn't missed a lot of games in his career. You can't just be a total wuss. But we also know Kobe loves to play up to the drama, and we've all noticed occasions when he was kind of hurt but not really, and would limp off the floor, and then, all of a sudden you come back and he's running and jumping like Dr. J, you know? And I think there's a little bit of showmanship in that. So some lady saying he's awesome, whatever. She's trying to get the pipe is what it sounds like to me.
What do you make?
That's what it sounds like to me.
What do you make of Kobe?
In my interactions with women, it doesn't always go well.
This is true. This is true. Soundbite, Brian. This is very true.
I want to have a mini nugget here to just declare that Smarties are strong.
That is a strong move by you.
Smarties were the shit 30 years ago, and you know what? I haven't had any in a long time, and they are good.
Kids need to remember that.
Kobe, are we moving on?
Kobe.
What
do you think? What's going to happen with Kobe? Because last year pretty much was nothing, and the Lakers are still nothing. They've got Julius Randle, decrepit Steve Nash, and Swaggy P. That's about the gist of what they've got. I know you're trying to find it, but
you know what I'm looking for, don't you?
Yeah, and they've got Byron Scott as their new head coach, but it's just not a lot of excitement. I can't stall anymore.
I'm a Lakers fan. Go Kobe. Black Mamba.
Y'all know how I feel about the Lakers, and I don't like them. I don't like them at all. I don't really.
I couldn't find my books at all.
See, I'm just pent up. I haven't done a podcast in so long. I just want to play all the funny things we've said for the last 4 years. But I don't like that son of a bitch, and I hate the Lakers, and they're the enemy, and blah, blah, blah. But guess what, man? I got a little, again, this is like me and Cyberdust.
You got a soft spot.
I'm just waffling.
You're a fence rider, man.
I guess maybe I am.
You are.
Politician. After what the age that he's at and the injury that he had with the Achilles and the length of time now that it's been since he played meaningful minutes in the NBA, at this point, it's all so unlikely. And knowing that no matter what happens, the Lakers are going to blow and they're going to be no threat to the team I care about, I think I'm actually kind of pulling for him to be good.
You're pro Kobe now?
I'm
super pro Kobe.
No, but I'm pro Kobe recovery because it would be an amazing physical feat for him to come back at this age from this long of a layoff, from this kind of injury, and be productive in the NBA. And it would be amazing. It would be one of those things that doesn't happen but every 20 years in sports in terms of a guy coming back from an injury. I still hate the Lakers and Kobe and Colorado and all that shit, but there's a little part of me that kind of is pulling for him just because it would be so unlikely. And he thinks he's going to come back and average 28 points a game. He thinks that.
Yeah,
for sure. He wakes up every morning and that's what he thinks.
And when you talked about it with LeBron and the miles he's put on, think of what Kobe's put on for a lot longer.
Yep.
He's 36, and he's probably...
He jumped into a team at age 18 with Shaq.
Right.
So they were up in the conference semis and the conference finals every year. Then they three-peated when he was like 21, 22, 23. And then they, deep runs. It's a lot of miles. We should do the minutes like we did for Duncan and Dirk and Garnett and all that back when the Duncan wall was invented.
Mm-hmm.
Should look at those minutes.
Skin invented the Duncan wall, right?
He did.
Yeah.
I sent him an email, and then we called it the Duncan wall, and then he was mad because he called it the Duncan wall because he wasn't really talking about Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty funny stuff.
So we've kind of figured out that you are Kobe Homer now. You're Homer Kobe.
I just love Kobe so much.
That's who you are. You're gonna embrace that. I mean, because you know that they're not gonna be good. So if you know they're not gonna be good,
embrace it.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for it because I just think it would be cool.
So if you knew those Spurs,
the dude blew out his Achilles at age
34.
30. Was he 34?
I think so. It wasn't last season. It was the end of
2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's like me blowing out my Achilles right now. I might not ever walk again. I'd be like, rehab. Give me a wheelchair.
You'd go the Dwayne Wade wheelchair.
Give me one of those lift things you put on the side of your stairs over here.
Okay.
Just put a beer holder right beside it, and I'll be all right.
You'll just rotate on that all the time. Next nugget. Unfortunately, my video has failed me, but Greg Popovich is endearing. This was an old video.
It's not running?
It's not
Can't
running.
get it to go?
No, I can't get it to go. But the quote is basically he was running a camp with high schoolers. And the quote was, "I'll forget your names, but I thought it would be polite to ask or start that way because I don't really give a shit what your names are."
Yeah. It's
So
really
that's
funny.
Popp being Popp.
It's a shame you don't have that clip.
Yeah.
Because that is an awesome clip.
I'm not sure. My internet is failing me.
It's crazy.
I think it's just the website that's acting up.
Yeah.
And I'm too lazy to try to
We
find
got
it.
the internet going.
It's working, but I'm just too lazy to try to find it on another site. Is there a way where you're pro Popp, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a way you'd hate Popp?
I don't think so. Not at this point.
No. He punches Dirk. What if he punched Dirk?
Oh, yeah, then I'd hate him.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Popp is...
Because he could punch Dirk.
His whole bit about...
acting an ass.
Acting an ass like LeBron was going to do, according to Lil Roy. I love it because it's similar to the reason I like Carlisle, which is that there's a good heart in there. And they see to it that they just are crusty as hell to people. And I just like that. I just like that because it's kind of an ass whip for them to have to answer all these questions all the time and stuff. And I can't say that if I was in their position that I would be much different. I would try to be funny, obviously, but I don't know that I'd probably be the same way. You're asking me that question again? You want me to answer that again, Or how do you think I'm going to answer that? So I support Popp.
And to clarify, it was Kevin Ware who had the Louisville injury.
Ware. Okay, that was Ware.
Because I found out on Twitter, it's Kevin Ware, you dipshit. So that's Twitter being Twitter.
What's up, Twitter? Thanks for listening. Call us dipshit all you want if it means you're listening. I don't care.
So let's go to the next nugget since that was an aborted one. Have you kept up with what's going on with Kevin Durant and shoes?
A little bit.
It took a weird turn today.
Under Armour wanted to money whip him.
They wanted to money whip him, and there was all this concern because they're in Maryland and he's a Maryland guy, and Washington Wizards are going to have cap space in 2 summers.
Oh, God. Now we got to do all that shit again. Under Armour money whipping him, that to me is one thing. The Wizards thing, no.
But you support Under Armour.
If he leaves, he's not going to leave. He's not going to leave to go to Washington. Unless, here's what he should do. He should say, I'll go to Washington, but only if y'all change the name to the Bullets. Because I hate that Wizard shit.
And wear the red, white, and blue unis.
Oh, it'd be great, man. Those classic unis, man. Just a great look. But that won't happen. So I support Under Armour.
Did you support Under Armour's pursuit?
I'm a Nike guy. I'm 100% Nike. I have an exclusive lifetime deal with Nike. But
exclusive.
But if Under Armour wants to do that, I think that's cool. Good for them. It's kind of a big gamble on their part. And you kind of gotta do something like that to make a name for yourself.
That's what Nike had to do with Jordan.
Yeah, when you're going up against Nike, you kind of need to do that. Good for them. I'm Nike all the way, and I understand as of today, sounds like he's coming into a deal on Nike. And if he used Under Armour for leverage, then he's a smart guy.
He is, as Nike is now promoting, the baddest. Is with the 35 and the yes.
I am so over people using numbers for letters. Can we get over that? I'm over it. Hey, everybody. I'm over it.
He's going to make upwards of $285 million for the life of that deal.
Good for him.
So
it's a lot of shoes.
That is a lot of shoes.
It's a lot of tight-fitting shirts. 'Cause to me, that's all Under Armour is
they protect this house.
Just tight-fitting shirts.
They protect this house. Next nugget.
Terrible.
It happens.
Whatever.
Kevin
have to get a new dinger.
Kevin Love was traded officially to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Finally.
It took a little longer than most people wanted, but the gist of it was Wiggins, Anthony Bennett, they went to Minnesota. Thaddeus Young from Philadelphia went there. Sixers got 2015 first rounder Alexei Shved, Luke Richard Bahamute, who was a underrate. He would champion that guy to the high heavens. I think
because
so.
he just wants to pronounce.
He
his
knows
name.
he can pronounce his name.
Yeah.
It took 30 days for it to happen because Cleveland signed Wiggins, and at that point, the NBA, CBA
had to kick in.
Said read the CBA and get back to us in 30 days. So that was the gist of it. What do you think of this now trio of Love, LeBron, and Kyrie?
It's going to be must watch, I think, because we've all sat here and heaped praise on Kevin Love for the last 3 years or so since he started going for 40 points and 40 rebounds every game. But he's been on terrible teams. And I want to see what he's going to do on a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie Irving, I think, dude's been good. He's been hurt a little, but he's been good.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, him and LeBron, the expectation on Kyrie, he's still considered a young up-and-comer, whereas Love is considered an established star. So the expectations on Love are going to be a lot higher. Love's been on a bad team, going to now a team that presumably will be good. And to me, that changes his whole thing. Kyrie's staying put. LeBron's going back to where he was. Love, to me, is a wild card. So I think it's going to be a good watch, and I don't really know what to expect other than I think it's going to all turn out pretty good. And they still have Verjao, right?
Yeah.
So Verjao can go defend most fives, or really anybody that plays on the block offensively. And then you've got Love out there. I don't really feel like Love is much of a man defender. He's more of a guy that just grabs a bunch of boards. But the two of them together, if they can make it work, that should be fairly stout.
And you know who else they have now? Mr. Sean Marion.
Oh, yeah.
The Matrix.
I forgot about that. So on the perimeter, then they're going to be in good shape.
Yeah.
Think about Marion and LeBron on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
That's salty.
Yeah.
That's going to be. And the thing is I have now that he is not associated in any way with Dwayne Wade, I have almost.
You love LeBron.
I don't love him, but
say it. You love him.
This whole freaking episode is about
your homer.
Is about me being a chicken shit.
Your homer. You've gotten off the fence and you've shown your true colors of homerism for
terrible.
Kobe and LeBron.
This is terrible.
You're such an elitist.
But I don't have any animosity to the guy. He made it right with the fans. I hope everything works out, whatever. But it's going to be a fun watch with Marion in the mix too. I forgot about that. That's cool.
The pressure's on them now because they've got legit stars or legit guys. Last nugget. This is a updated nugget.
Uh-oh.
Did you see what happened with Jason Terry today?
I did, man. Do you think that's Maury just trying to get at us?
Yeah, a little bit. If you hadn't heard, Jason Terry, former Sacramento King, unable to put a tattoo on his calf of
the Maloof brothers.
Yeah.
Those guys had the worst haircuts, man. God. Just doucheteria.
Wow.
Both of them.
Is that a word? I don't think so.
It is now.
It is now. Sacramento Kings superstar guard Jason Terry was traded to the Houston Rockets.
Superstar guard.
I just made that up. It's a bunch of spares that are being sent from Houston.
It's a bunch of non-guaranteed deals.
Non-guaranteed second rounders, and I think the biggest name was Alonzo G.
Yep. I don't know if Houston, we've got Dwight. The idea is you can always use a three-point shooter. He hinted really hard that he would love to be back here, but I think
He didn't hint. He just put up the sign and said, please let me go to Dallas.
And we all knew that. I don't think that surprised anyone. But there wasn't really place on the roster now, and we've got 3 point guards plus Monte. We don't need 5 guys under 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
4 under 6'3" is enough.
Right.
It's already too many for me. And then throw Mikal in there. How tall is Mikal?
Meckel.
Well,
get it right.
Exactly.
He's 6. I think he's 6.
Really think he's 6'6"?
Yeah. No. What? No, 6. 6 foot.
Okay, so we've already got 5 guys under 6'3". We don't need 6.
Right.
Although technically Harris is listed at 6'4". I think that's kind of a fudge.
No.
Yeah. So I felt like once they assembled the roster, the fit wasn't there for him anyway. So I don't have any butthurt over this, although I would have loved to see him back in a Mavs uniform. I love the guy. I'm going to be there when they raise his number into the rafters. No doubt about it. He's one of my favorite all-time Mavs. But at least with this, there's a team that we know is a playoff team unless they have some horrible injury, and that'll give him something to go and just play for. I mean, he had to be miserable in Sacramento. He won't be miserable in Houston. He'll be close to home. Whatever.
You know what?
He won't play a lot.
No. What we've learned a lot today in episode 88 is that Rylan loves Dirk. He loves Popovich. He's a Kobe homer. He's a LeBron homer. And he's not that sad that Jason Terry is not going to be a Maverick. He's not that sad.
Well, I am sad because I would have loved it, but it's just not. It wasn't realistic.
It's no longer realistic. I think there was like a
brief window,
a 5% chance that it could have happened, but now that's completely gone. But now that makes that very first game against Houston that much more interesting because it was going to be the Parsons reunion in Houston. But now
Jet won't even get into the game, man.
But you know he's going to talk.
He's going to be jabbering.
He's going to talk the day of.
And that'll be fine. But yeah, you know he's not.
Do you think he talks shit about Dallas just to spark it?
He might a little bit, but I don't know if he will a whole lot.
He never really took the bait when he was in Boston.
If he does, it'll be very good-natured. It'll be very light. I don't think it'll be too heavy.
Unless Maury gets his fingertips in him and just talks about analytics and converts him into nerd
Jet bleeds Maverick blue. Jet bleeds Maverick blue. Don't anybody forget that. I had us scheduled for a break, but we're just going to keep rolling. We got one more topic we wanted to cover.
Okay. So, and you labeled it better. Anticipation and anxiety. We've talked a lot about the Mavericks finished product.
Still eating those Smarties, by the way.
I got it. Can we go back to Nuggets real quick? I apologize. I meant to give you a pop quiz.
Oh, yeah.
During the Nuggets.
Hey, let's just make that. Does it have to be a nugget?
No, not really. It's based off of a nugget, but.
Well, let's just hang on.
You have bed music for pop quiz?
I'm trying to here.
This is my fault. I completely had it saved and everything. That's probably what ruined my juju with the Greg Popovich. Yeah. This is good pop quiz music. Okay. In light of Nike holding on to Kevin Durant and the family, that keeps their trio intact of notable NBA endorsers for their brand. So we're going to break this down and see if you can nail this pop quiz.
Oh, boy. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready, boss.
Nike, Adidas, Jordan Brand, and Under Armour. We're going to start with Nike. Who would you say are the top 3 NBA endorsers for Nike?
For Nike.
Just Nike.
But not Jordan Brand.
Right.
Kobe.
Yes.
Durant.
Yes.
Naturally. Chris Paul's on Jordan. I don't know, dude.
LeBron.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
You're overthinking it.
Unbelievable.
You're overthinking.
Unbelievable, Rylan. Cheese. I just can't believe.
Jordan Brand. This might be a little bit harder.
Chris Paul.
Yes.
I know for sure Chris Paul's in the mix there. We think if anybody else has a signature shoe,
We have talked about this person, one of the remaining two, today.
Paul George?
No.
Kevin Love?
No.
Jason Terry? No. Greg Smith.
You made fun of his wife.
Whoopi Goldberg. I made fun of his wife. Oh, Carmelo. I knew that. Dang it.
The third?
See, because I shop Jordan hard. You know this.
You do.
But I don't wear a signature shoe.
Right.
I'll either wear... I really don't buy the Air Jordan anymore because they're very, very geared towards a true basketball shoe, and I've already got some just Team Jordan basketball shoes. But the other Jordans I always get are always like retro or whatever.
Right.
So I don't ever pay attention to the Chris Paul or the Carmelo. So Chris Paul, Carmelo.
One more. You're not going to be able to remember or figure it out.
Michael Finley.
No.
He was on there.
He was, but not anymore.
Derek Jeter is on there,
NBA,
but he doesn't count.
NBA. Blake Griffin was the third.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin's on Jordan?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought he was just I thought he wore Kia shoes.
I don't think that works out that way.
I think he wears Kia shoes, bro. Look that up.
Third one.
Google that shit.
Is Adidas. This is going to be much harder, I believe. Who are the three notable leading NBA endorsers for Adidas?
Brian Scalabrine.
We have talked
Matt Bonner.
We have talked about one of them today.
And Scott Pollard.
No.
We've talked about one of them today. Adidas. Rashard Lewis. I honestly have no idea.
Howard.
Oh, is Dwight Adidas?
Dwight
Okay.
is Adidas.
All right.
One West Coast guy and then one Eastern Conference player.
Derrick Rose.
Yes.
I do know that.
This one's tough.
When you said Eastern Conference, my brain shot Technicolor dreams.
It started.
Yeah, I had a brain shart.
This one's tough.
A West Coast guy.
Youngin. Not super youngin, but youngin.
Let me think. There's our homeboy that always shows up at the end of this
well
thing.
timed.
Hey, Adrian Casada, tell me who else is on Adidas.
That's your lifeline.
Like, who are you? What? Okay, West Coast. Boogie Cousins?
No.
I
think he has his own brand.
Jody Meeks.
No.
Nick Young.
No.
Isaiah Thomas.
No.
Where did he end up?
Phoenix.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. I'm out, dude. I don't remember.
Damian Lillard.
Oh, that's so marginal. Poor Adidas.
Good luck naming.
He's a good player, though.
Good luck naming the three notable Under Armour NBA players.
Who was the guy that used to say we must protect this house? He played for the Cowboys.
But NBA.
It was like Eric Agbagu or something.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, Under Armour for the NBA. I have no idea. You just tell me.
Stephen Curry.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Brandon Jennings.
Okay.
And Kemba Walker. That's pretty low as your number 3.
Man, they're scraping. I feel sorry for them, man. Why didn't KD sign?
That would have been such a coup.
I feel bad for those guys now.
For Under Armour.
They were working so hard, working that KD deal. There were some sales guys that they were going to buy an island off of that commission. And now they got to call up Kemba Walker's agent and be like, "What's up, Kemba?"
Yes. So that was your pop quiz. I think you did better than I thought you would.
I'm impressed, Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that one to the table.
You're welcome. So, do you have the drop I mentioned from earlier today? You might have had to shuffle it based off.
I got it.
Okay. So basically, Dallas's summer: Tyson Chandler,
got him.
Raymond Felton,
Got him.
Chandler Parsons,
Got him.
Richard Jefferson,
Got him.
Al Farouk Aminu,
Got him.
Greg Smith,
Got him.
Devin Harris,
Got him.
and Jameer Nelson.
Shut it down. Let's go home.
A very eventful summer for Dallas.
Man, a lot of players. Of course, this is another one of those.
We want continuity this summer. Not so much. That was the big buzzword from Donnie and Carlisle was continuity. We are going to bring our continuity of revolving players around.
You knew when they said that, you knew that they had enough roster spots to fill that wasn't – that either was just talk or they have a non-traditional definition of continuity or both. I think what they really probably meant was we have one major hole in the starting lineup. We're going to fill it. And then Tyson Chandler kind of is continuity in a way.
In a weird way.
In a weird roundabout way, Tyson Chandler is continuity because the coach and the superstar know how to play with him.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. So I can get that, but clearly with the number of free agents that they had, you had to anticipate there were going to be a lot of new faces.
So with that in mind, there's clearly a lot of anticipation and a lot of excitement going on board with the Mavericks of 2014-2015. But on top of that, which we necessarily haven't talked about very much, is there should be a lot of anxiety about this.
You say that. I'm good. I don't.
There's
just,
not a fear.
I'm good. I really am. I want to hear you. I want to hear your thoughts. Your thoughts in this arena first.
There's actually. You know me as being more of an optimistic guy.
Usually, yes.
Yes.
Usually, if one of us is going to be down in the mouth about something, it's usually me before you, but we usually aren't that far off.
Yes. I tried, and this is something I'm going to...
I don't need this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have one more Kit Kat,
I am going to
though.
go Smarties, though.
We literally just traded candy.
Yeah.
Like
with
lunchroom table.
A future candy to be named later. I'm going to write about this later this summer. I've decided to use the last 2 weeks.
Summer's over, bro.
The first part of September, I'll write about this. It's a Debbie Downer idea of a negative outlook of what could go wrong for Dallas. And this is where the anxiety could come in. And one big concern is, what if the San Antonio series for Dirk is a sign of things to come, where he just cannot generate enough offense for himself?
Before we think about that, tell me what you think caused it.
Splitter. I think Splitter is the biggest reason, where he was underrated and not really noticed going into that series as being as good as he is as a perimeter big man defender.
Given that, do you believe that, knowing that going into a series, the Mavericks would be better prepared to game plan against it?
I believe they would be better game plan.
All right.
But
cross that worry off the list. Next worry.
Let's see. What if the Mavericks guessed wrong on Chandler Parsons?
That okay. Hey, they could have. They've definitely got their butts on the line on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I haven't seen, aside from games where they've played Dallas, I haven't watched Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I don't.
Why would you want to, though? Really, why would you want to?
Exactly. You wouldn't want to. It's terrible. And James Harden plays for them, which is just like, ugh. So there's I would say that's probably the one thing that's really hanging over. But then you watch those highlight reels of him playing, and you're like,
he can ball.
He can ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sneaky athletic, which is just code for he's athletic for a white guy.
He's white.
And
he's got a lunch pail mentality.
He's lunch pail. Yeah. He's real lunch pail hanging out with Chris Jenner. He can knock down an open shot. He can get to the hole. He can move the ball around. He can handle the ball. He's just, I feel like he's too well-rounded to flop.
Or regress.
He is well-rounded enough to piss off idiot fans, though. There is a possibility that he comes in here, and on this team, especially if Dirk comes out the gate firing, that Dirk and Monte are scoring 20. Tyson's getting his 9 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
And he's down there in the 12 a game with some of the other guys, you know? And if he does, I don't care as long as the W's are there. But there will be people who do exactly what we're doing right now, only they do it all day, every day, and get paid to do it, who are going to get something up their ass and start saying, look at his salary, look at his salary, look at his salary.
He's getting paid more than he has points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that is the one thing, but what I just described is a media problem and a perception problem that's possibly a fan problem. But guess what? If you've got a team that's winning more games than they're losing, and they have Tyson Chandler on their being productive, fans are, excuse me, burped again. It's just all this podcast is me burping. The fans will give a pass because this is the Tyson Chandler honeymoon year.
It's only a 1-year deal.
Exactly. But if he's healthy and he's on the court, people are just going to – and the Mavs are winning, won't matter what else is happening. If Dirk looks rough, if Parsons doesn't measure up to expectations,
if Mike
whatever,
James runs onto the floor.
As long as they're still winning more games than they're losing, which means they tread water from last year, treading water with Tyson Chandler for the fans, they're going to be happy. Other people might not agree with that because of the treading water thing, but I truly believe it. If this team wins another 48 or whatever they won last year, but with Tyson Chandler in the mix,
49,
playing ball and playing 65 games or whatever, playing most games except for a few little injuries, people will be they'll be happy.
I don't know if that matters.
No, I just disconnected.
Next concern then. What happens if Tyson Chandler just can't play more than 55 games this year?
Now that could be trouble. That could be trouble because they don't have jack squat behind him.
They got Brandon Wright, and they've got a questionable Greg Smith, and they've got Bernard James in a suit.
Yep, and he might wear the suit onto the court at this point. We don't even know.
So that's a big concern right there. What happens if Chandler just can't do it? Maybe it was just lightning in a bottle for
that buzzword.
For one season in Dallas and then one season in New York for him, where he just had 2 great years and it worked out, and it just doesn't happen anymore for him.
It's tough.
It is.
That one would be the worst case scenario because of the position. Well, any starter getting hurt, with the exception of point guard, because we kind of have a tandem starting situation. Monte, Parsons, Dirk, and Chandler. Any of those guys misses significant time, it's trouble. Because there's not a lot of depth that you're comfortable with. Small forward, maybe, actually. You know, between Jefferson and Crowder, you can kind of duct tape
Ricky
it.
Lito. Ricky Lito future is here.
Let's not do that, but you can kind of duct tape that thing if everybody else around it is there.
Mm-hmm.
But, Monte, Dirk, Tyson. So, but that's every year.
Yes. That's every year, every team.
Every team, every sport. So that's not giving me heartburn.
Honestly, okay, I had one more. They have 3 options they feel they can go to at point guard, meaning they don't have a true one.
Yeah.
So that can be a concern.
They didn't have a true one last year, and they had 2 options.
Well, I guess so, yes. But maybe in that instance.
But they had an elite 3-point shooter in that mix,
yes.
So it was like, okay, neither of these guys is just exactly what you want, but Jose will go shoot 45% from 3, so we'll, it's kind of a consolation
You'll
prize.
live with it.
Yeah, it's consolation.
So it's a little bit weaker in that sense this year.
It is. We talked about it when we had our last episode about the fact that they had lost some perimeter shooting that they needed to find a way to refill. And they don't have a deadly shooter. Although if Jefferson holds up those numbers from last year, it's from the corner, that's absolutely deadly.
Mm-hmm.
41 is considered elite. It's not top of the league, but it's got to be in the top dozen, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really looked at those numbers in a while, but that's only one guy. And then of course you got Dirk. Dirk from elbow extended out. Dirk's gonna knock down a lot of shots, but I don't know. Monte's kind of shaky. Devin's kind of shaky. Nelson should be okay. I think between Nelson and Jefferson, did they replace Calderon? They're not going to replace his efficiency because he was the best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But did they replace the production and the spacing? I think so.
I think they did too.
And I'm sorry, I should include Carter in the mix. Dude.
Why do you hate Vince Carter?
I just kind of forgot about him. Between Carter and Calderon, production and efficiency versus Nelson and Jefferson, from the standpoint of impact on the offense, perimeter, shooting. Yeah, because Carter was streaky.
I'll let you.
Carter was streaky, and Calderon, you couldn't play him in crunch time. Jameer Nelson, you can play him.
If it makes you feel better, I'll let you throw Aminu in there as well for the perimeter shooting.
Yeah, because he's so elite.
Honestly, I think
some elite confidence building going on.
Honestly, I think that's it I had for anxiety.
See, man, that ain't bad.
Honestly,
not bad at all.
Anticipation-wise, you said it. I think we talked about it in the last episode with the fellas. This team is probably going to be. It was already tied for second in the league for offensive efficiency. It's going to be nasty offensively.
Man, if they get everything clicking and people are healthy, it might take them a little while to fill each other out because it is new guys. But think of the rollers to the basket we have now between Tyson
Chandler,
and Brandon Wright.
Right.
I love it. Monte.
You have an attacker.
Monte. Think about what Monte can do on the pick and roll with Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that alone to me is something I'm looking forward to just in that first game.
The hands of Tyson Chandler versus the hands of Samuel Dallenberg. It's a huge difference.
Frying pan hands.
Right, where it's the know your personnel, where it took him like 60 games to figure out you can't throw Samuel Dallenberg this pass, and he can't get it. But with Tyson, he's going to be able to get it from anywhere.
Yep.
Parsons can attack to the rim. you know he's going to be willing to make that extra pass as well. Teams are still going to have to respect Dirk, so he's going to get a bulk of their defensive energy. And then at that point, you have those attackers, you have those shooters.
Just imagine what Dirk and Parsons can do with Monte and Tyson on the pick and roll. Because I'm sorry, but Monte and Tyson on the pick and roll, unless you're a top 5 perimeter defender, there's not much you can do. Because there's only 5 or 6 guys in the league that if Monte turns a corner, that they can catch up.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it's hard, but they have the skill to get a hand in there or anticipate or whatever. I mean, you got to be an elite level defender to do that consistently. And now you've got Chandler rolling to the rim, and all he's got to do is he's going to turn that corner hard and attract more attention. That frees up so much space in the lane for Tyson to move. That alone, and then you got 2 other guys.
But even if you're
that are elite offensive player, well, not elite. Dirk's elite, but Chandler's versatile. Parsons is. We're gonna have to say Parsons and Tyson.
Yes.
You can't use the word Chandler.
If you're an elite perimeter defender, are you necessarily gonna be on Monte all the time?
That's what I'm saying.
You can't be on Monte all the time.
No, those guys. Other than the Cavaliers, nobody has 2 of those guys.
They will be better defensively, but the bar was just set so low last season. I know. I know. Over the course of the season, me and you said it.
But we thought the Cowboys could only get better. So shit happens. But we have a clear beat on the personnel.
But
they will be a little better.
We had the goal, and we included follow as well. The goal was to be average defensively.
I think that's fair.
And I think this is a realistic goal for this team is to be average, especially if Tyson can stay healthy. If you have an unexpected surprise in Greg Smith. And Al-Farouq Aminu can get minutes. And Jameer Nelson hasn't fallen off the face of the earth defensively.
Healthy Tyson Chandler in the back there, lording over everyone alone. Not only his personal defensive actions, but being able to talk and move guys around and direct traffic, which we came to find out how good he was at that the 1 year he was here. That alone is going to do wonders for you. That and not having Jose Calderon. I'm serious, man. That guy.
He had a great beard, though.
He had a great beard.
He tried.
He had a great beard, and he had effort, and he was a cool guy, and he knocked down shots. But I thought 2004 Steve Nash was a bad defender, and 2004 Steve Nash looked like Raja Bell out there compared to
Raja Bell now or Raja Bell in his day.
Raja Bell in his day.
Could even be
Raja Bell now is better than Calderon. I'll guarantee you that.
There's one more concern I do have in terms of there's potential in bench depth, but it's still not proven necessarily in that aspect.
Yeah, the bench could. Well, it's like I was talking about those Mavs teams from the mid-aughts. There were some years where those benches just kind of farted and fell down, and it could happen again. There's no guarantees there. There's on one hand, you look at these guys, and you're like, oh man, look at the value we got for this guy for the minimum, this guy for the room exception, but they were there. It's a double-edged sword. You win some, you lose some. The Mavs have been winning more than they've been losing lately on these pickups. You hope that continues, but it might not.
You're clearly banking on Harris and Wright to anchor that bench,
and they should be able to. I mean, they're established at this point.
But it just might not have as much depth as you had in the past in that aspect. But offensively, I don't know how you slow this team down. I just don't know how you do it.
Kung Fu.
Especially with Rick Carlisle being able to have the options that he has, as long as they just don't become a content jump shooting team.
Yeah, but you know what? Well, yeah, it's gonna be something you're gonna have to watch. It could happen. They start to get their legs start to get a little shaky.
Right.
It could happen. It's gonna be something that he's gonna have to really keep the guys moving and kind of lord over them, especially in the early going, because Monte can fall into that. Dirk can fall into that.
You trust Dirk falling into that, though, to an extent.
You do, but he's easier to defend. And that's something that he has the last couple years due to injuries and not having a good team around him. He hadn't had the energy to really turn the corner and lower his shoulder like he did prior to. the lockout. And I think now my hope is with the additional firepower, an extra year under the belt with Monte, bringing Parsons in.
That's his boy too. That's kind of underrated.
Yeah.
That's a guy he likes a lot.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that, but that is a good point. I'm hoping that it gives Dirk the ability to conserve enough energy that he can go back to mixing up his game a little more. Because the last couple years, you could tell he was like, I can't do it today because I gotta save something for tomorrow,
Mama,
or I gotta
mama,
save
my legs.
Yeah, and,
mama.
And I don't think he couldn't do it. I think he knew not to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he knew not to, from a standpoint of there's 82 of these things, and I didn't play in all of them last year, and I want to play in all of them. Now he's got a healthy year under his belt, first one since the title. He's got the best team since the title. I'm really hoping that he's able to mix up his game, go back to driving every once in a while and the occasional post up, just enough to make him not just overplay the jump shot. If that's the case, then you really are looking at an offensive juggernaut.
And then kind of another interesting way to look at it is he said so himself that he was clearly energized going into last season because he knew he had the likes of Monte and Jose.
He should be
helping
fired
him.
up.
He should be.
Don't you know
out of this world?
Don't
excited.
you know he high-fived everybody he could find when he found out they were trading for Tyson?
When they got Tyson, they got his guy in Parsons. They've got a reliable, steady hand in Nelson.
Yeah,
they
he's
brought
gotta be
help.
loving
They
this.
brought Harris back. There's just his team won the World Cup. He's just excited as can be. It's summer of Dirk.
It's good to be Dirk.
Yeah.
When is it not good to be Dirk? But it's exceptionally good to be Dirk today.
So my final question then: do you think my assessment is that Dallas is the fourth best team in the West?
You know what? Mark Jenkins and I broke down at the office the other day the Western Conference picture because the Rangers are so depressing and the Cowboys are going to be so bad. We literally had a 15-minute conversation about the Mavs in like the middle of August, and we never talk about the Mavs in August. And I think we put them fifth. I think Portland was in the mix there.
So you
Or no, Golden State. Golden State.
That's a big jump. You clearly have San Antonio, Oklahoma City, the Clippers ahead for sure.
Yes.
You're three.
And then
you get a mix of Portland, Dallas, Golden State, Memphis, Houston.
I had Golden State there, and then I had Dallas and Portland and Houston kind of in that jumble. But I feel like Golden State, they got a lot of talent on that team, man.
My question would be then: do you trust Steve Kerr? Because it's first year ever as a head coach.
Oh yeah, Jason Kidd got all butthurt about that, and I completely forgot.
First year as a head coach, that's a lot to throw on him. Sure, you have Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson.
Curry beat us twice last year by himself.
Yeah. So
I don't know, man.
That's my concern with Golden State.
But I'll tell you, I felt this way about them last year. I think I had them slotted at least one spot above where they ended up because of the same reason. I look at the young talent that they have, and I'm just like, man, they got so much talent. And but now the Mavs have one more good player offensively than last year, not to mention Tyson and Jameer Nelson and the bench and everybody else. So maybe I'll be wrong again, but for some reason I can't get over the Clippers are the ones to watch because I think they underachieved last year relative to their talent level.
I would agree with that.
And now this is the third year now with this same kind of crew, more or less. It's kind of put up or shut up time for them. And Doc just got a big extension. They got a new owner. I just don't know. They, and then the times that the Mavs played the Clippers, the game got real junked up, and Blake Griffin cried like a bitch, and all this other stuff. And I kind of felt almost like it reminded me of the Mavs teams in the earlier years of Dirk's career when they would lose their composure. Now they beat the Mavs in those games where that happened because the Mavs didn't necessarily respond the way they needed to either. But it just reminded me of those teams, and I'm just not sold, man. I just feel like Blake Griffin, I just don't feel like he's gotten better the last 2 years.
He's gotten better at dunking.
Yeah, that's all he does anymore. I mean, it's all he's ever done, but I just don't feel like he's gotten any better.
I think he's got a little bit more to him in terms of a face-up jumper game, but it's not anywhere near reliable or steady. But I still think And again, we're kind of splitting hairs once we get from 4 to 8 because they're honestly within a game and a half.
It's
going to
be one of those deals again where the 8th seed probably wins
49 games.
49 to 51 games.
Yeah.
And the 4 to 8 is going to be a complete jumble, maybe 4 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still got Phoenix. You didn't mention Phoenix.
Right.
They're going to be down there in 7-8. Your boy Rubio's got some shit though.
Yeah, he's in trouble. He's in trouble.
It's too bad.
That's okay.
But so I see the Mavs in that kind of having in that jumble, but having a little bit of a leg up with the other teams in the jumble, along with the Golden State.
Then this might be unfair or unrealistic to ask, and I'm just thinking about it right now. But let's imagine we have an idea of a best case scenario and a worst case scenario for how this team can roll. Let's just say we're saying it can be not elite top tier of what we think they can be, but maybe like 2 notches below of what that can be. If that roster faces San Antonio in the first round of the playoffs, what happens in that series?
If they're playing, if it's just the maximized potential, then you're looking at another long series that could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that. Last year, we were talking to Jake right before the season started, and we were talking about best case scenario, and I said that if everything falls perfectly into place for last year's Mavs team, I could see them winning as many as 54 games. And you guys are like, oh, man, that's optimistic. They won 49, and how many did they give away?
They blew at least 6.
Yes, so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're kind of in the same realm where that perfect ceiling, that like optimal, everything falls into place. Best case scenario is still in the mid 50s, 54, 55, but I think they have a much more likely chance of being closer to it than last year because they're just a more balanced team.
I could see their ceiling being 56 wins. I could see that.
If everything just goes perfect.
Because you thought the Clippers were a little bit underrated and they won 57. So I could see that. And I would give Dallas a better coach. I'd give them a little bit more versatility. I can see that.
Yeah, they don't have what the Clippers have on defense. The Mavs have kind of on offense.
And
but Chris Paul is
they have a master point guard.
He's a master two-way player, superstar, and the Mavs don't have a two-way superstar.
Right.
There's very few of those in the league, so that gives the Clippers some kind of edge. But I did feel, you know what though, when I say they underachieved, I guess that doesn't translate as much to regular season success because you really can't argue with 57 wins. We know back in all the Mavs years of 50-plus wins, there was a lot of 57, 58 win years in there and a couple 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But in the playoffs, they just haven't gone as deep as they should. They haven't gotten over the hump.
Because they're exposed at that point of not having a lot behind Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. We're at the end of the road for the doldrums of the summer, and
after this, man,
it's like 4 weeks away from Media Day.
So we'll get together like right after Media Day. It's a yearly tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I'll be able to come to Media Day. I missed it. I had to miss it last year, because they usually invite the season
ticket
ticket
holders.
the I'm sorry, the introductory
meet the Mavs.
Introductory press conference. Yeah.
Those
usually both happen within.
I'm guessing we're 2 weeks away from that. And then 4 weeks away from
yeah. So that's always good for laughs, and you get stuff like Javon Bear. So I didn't have it turned up all the way,
but it was ready.
Yeah, you heard it. So we can come.
So we're getting to that point again. Rangers, I'm sorry for your Rangers.
It's so bad.
They just got taken to the back and shot in the head.
I haven't watched a whole game. I'll watch bits and pieces, but I haven't sat and watched an entire game since June. Late June if we're lucky.
It's a while.
I've eaten more Smarties in the last 3 seconds than I've watched full games of the Rangers.
That's impressive. And then the Cowboys are done already, so
that's what I've been saying on Twitter the last week or two.
But
everything is riding on the Mavs. The Mavs are all we really have to look forward to right now. The Mavs and eating on Thanksgiving. That's all we got to look forward to right now.
That's it until the end of 2014.
That's all we got. And Christmas.
Yeah. So It was good. It's been a while.
Wrapping up.
Great episode 88. Rylan, where can you find us?
You can find us at mavsoutsider.com. You need to go to mavsoutsider.com. Chances are, if you're listening, you've probably already been there, but go there again because there's probably something new since you last logged on. Because this guy right here.
Isn't that the guy that either does or did a Mavericks blog?
Sorry, if I'm going to play drops, I got to fix this. Oh, man, I'm just kind of.
You're rusty. It's
I'm
okay.
a little bit rusty, but it's all right.
It's okay.
Bryan is there providing talent and content. You've recruited some new people.
I'm excited about the new people. We've got new content from new writers this week.
Yeah, it's
they're
exciting.
They're getting their training wheels off and ready to roll.
So go to mavsoutsider.com. Check out the articles. There's lots of cool stuff there. There's feature articles. There's recurring content. There's once the season starts, there'll be a lot of game day stuff and quote boards and all that stuff that you're used to seeing, plus the new stuff. You can access the podcast, check out the old episodes, watch the video, so on and so forth. You can subscribe to iTunes. There's a link there. You can also just go to iTunes and search for us, Mavericks Outsider Report, and subscribe. It's free because you know what you do, Bryan?
What's that?
You put out something good, and then you put out something good again for 4 years. And then maybe you do it for 4 more years, and then maybe you think about figuring out how to make money out of it.
Yeah.
That's the order
I'm very
you go
slow.
in. That's the order. No, I am 125% in favor. Content is king. You do something good, you get better at it, you figure out how to do it the right way.
Then you have your Forrest Gump
and
moment.
Then you figure out how to make, because you can't make money. The people that do this all day, every day, barely pay their bills. Listen to them. They all have to lease cars. So guys like us, we're not charging you shit. We just want you to listen. We want you to hang out with us on Twitter, watch games, send emails to Bryan, all that kind of fun stuff. That's
go to Ryland's political protests.
There are no protests.
Whatever's going on in Trophy Club.
Oh my God! If there was a protest, it would just be. I can't imagine what it would even be. It would be the biggest first world problem, whatever it was, because clearly we don't have any big issues. Fighting over little tiny things.
Oh, okay.
Little tiny things. Things that are important because they cost money, but they don't. In the grand scheme of things, it's not life and death, which is nice. We're all very lucky. But anyway.
Find Rylan on Twitter.
Find me on Twitter.
At Rylan Rowe, RHYLANROWE, no underscore.
Do it.
Retired long ago.
Man, long time ago.
What were you thinking? That one space.
I wasn't. I didn't know how bad I would need that character.
You didn't know you loved Kobe as much as you did now.
And now I do, and everything just seems a lot more clear to me. And you can find Bryan. Go to Ballin with Bryan, BRYAN, on Twitter. Once Mavs season starts, the level of coverage that this guy's going to give you is going to be incredible. The game day stuff, he's at the arena, he's just a yeoman. He's there. He's at the arena 9 hours before the game starts. He leaves the arena 9 hours after the game ends, and he's there with his skinny tie looking dapper and just getting all kinds of good Mav information from everybody. He's so connected. He's got every writer in Vegas asking if he'll go tap Mark Cuban on the shoulder because they're all afraid. So that's all you really need to know.
And
follow him on Twitter and listen to our podcast.
Yes.
Mavs Outsider. Follow Mavs Outsider on Twitter.
Yeah, that too.
Because Mavs Outsider is going to be kind of a nice thing to go back to and be like, oh, I wonder if I missed any articles or anything. It's not going to have the random jibber jabber of Bryan's normal account. You can just go to Mavs Outsider. You can get links to articles or references to some of the other writers.
Just clean.
It's just a nice, clean, quick way to have all the information right there in front of you. So go for it. Strongly appreciate it. Everybody that was on the stream, you guys are awesome as always. All the non-stream listeners and anybody
future podcast listeners.
Anybody who fought through any technical difficulties we might have had. Obviously, we're finishing this now. I'm going to edit it later. And I hope that the headsets turned out okay. I think they did.
I think they did, too.
I think everything's good. Did you like being able to sit?
I did.
Hands-free, dude.
Nice.
Hands-free experience.
It's nice. I enjoyed it.
You can legally use this in a school zone.
Sweet.
Yeah, so there's that, too.
So we'll be back sometime mid-September, late September, ready with more content, ready to hear what players have said, if they've been silly or not.
And if any fans had any awesome questions at the introductory press conference, which is the highlight of my year, because I just sit back and watch.
So until then,
except the one. Did I tell you the one time when the ladies saw me talking to Mark before the?
I think you did.
So Mark Followell, friend of the show and voice of the Mavs, generally roves among the audience to get them to ask knuckleheaded questions. And that particular day, a couple years ago, he was doing that, and they had seen me talking to him when they came to sat down. So then they tried to get me to get him to come over there, and so I felt kind of bad, and so I was like, okay, I'll flag him down. And smartly for his case, he said, okay, I'll come back, and never got back.
He pulled that trick.
Smart guy.
He is very smart.
Yeah.
Very diplomatic.
Dude, professional.
Yes.
Professional.
So until then, we will see you guys later. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Can't wait.
I don't trust him. His name is Rylan.